I am going to take my shoes off.
Sure.
I'll
go for it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 50% .2 podcast. Happy New Year. It is I, Connor. I am here by myself. Aiden is in New Zealand with his lovely girlfriend, Nicole. So I'm going to be taking over the show for the next 2 weeks. I think I'm doing 2 or 3 episodes. We'll see. But of course, we need a... What the fuck is that?
Some applause.
We got producer Dan here in the house tonight. Thank you, Dan.
Sorry, I'm going to give you guys some encouragement. So,
I'm
just the only person here.
I'm not used to hearing sounds on the show, but we're borrowing Dan's studio for the next 2 to 3 episodes just because I don't have a studio. Josh Snares is here in the house in person.
Wow.
Yeah, can you even tell we're together? You could be in Adelaide right now.
Here. Or am I?
You could be in Adelaide right now.
I could be anywhere.
You never know.
I could be in the UK.
Give it my hand. There you go. That's me.
Allegedly. That could be anyone's hand.
That could be anyone's hand.
We don't. Who knows? You know.
And you can't even see it on Dan's side. But this is our fancy theme. That this played only on the Vanquishers episode, I think, which we filmed in this studio.
Intriguing. Bit of lore. 50% lore.
We love some lore. But thank you so much, Josh. So this theme tune lets it go a little bit longer. This is gonna be on the vinyl. Thank you so much for coming, though.
It's just part of Aiden's revenge.
Yeah. Aiden is cursing us from New Zealand. Okay, he is like he wants us to fail. And we will not have that happen. Okay,
and he just can't be. He can't be trusted with a podcast anymore. I simply had to take over. So,
he had to leave a producer just to make sure that there was.
Yeah, I don't think he can. He's
and
like
even
so
then there'll
worried.
be some failures.
That's okay. The camera's only gone off once, and
we should get a counter. Hey, how many times does the camera fuck up?
I am worried that something's going to happen with the get the file, and it's like the audio's messed up, and Aiden's like, I knew I couldn't. But thank you for coming, Joshy. Here in sunny Perth, Western Australia.
It is stupidly hot.
It is.
I am constantly sweating.
It's sunny Perth,
you'll have to excuse that, folks. But
it's just that we had the fan
limitations,
on,
but, you can see the fan like there, right in the corner.
Yeah, this is the fan that can't go on because it's just too hot. But thank you. Are you allowed to say why you're here or not?
It's top secret.
It's top secret.
No, when is this coming out?
This will be out on the 9th of January.
I'm working on something. You'll know about it soon. I haven't got dates yet.
Okay.
But it's nothing. It's not like I'm not working for the BBC or anything. It's nothing official, but it's just
Nah, not the BBC.
It's just like a big project that we're kind of working on. But it should be really exciting, something different, something cool. But yeah, it's come all the way to Perth because some people are involved here. And of course, I wanted to come see you and take over
from
the 50%
Aiden.
podcast.
From Aiden.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're actually going to rename it to the 60% Doctor Who podcast. Why?
Oh.
I don't know. Because I can. I'm a producer now.
You're the producer now.
I'm a co-host.
Josh is actually my boss now. I don't know how that happened, but
yeah.
You know what? I like, the Sidemen in the UK. I don't know if you know those YouTubers, the Sidemen. It's like KSI and a load of like UK YouTubers. They formed a group. What if we form like the Aussie YouTube group? Like you, me, Crispy, Aiden, whoever else wants to join and like, unite to become like we're the future of Doctor Who, our content all together, like, maybe like as one we're nothing, but all of us together could form the perfect show.
All greater than the parts separate, it's like
I'm thinking still for
Wait, I got a name. How about the 450% podcast?
Yeah, he's gonna add it all together. That makes sense.
Thinking for Peter's last episode. Twice Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Twice Upon a Time. I'm thinking you, me, Aiden, Crispy, all together on a call, and we do the biggest event in like YouTube history.
I do.
Which is reviewing Peter's last ever episode.
I feel like that's a really good example of why I never review shit, because I did a review about Twice Upon a Time years ago and said how much I hated it, whereas now I like it.
Yeah.
So, I cannot be trusted. I cannot be trusted to host a review podcast.
No,
except I am right now.
It definitely gets, and I do worry about what's going to happen when we run out of like stuff to review. Like, are we just going to like sit here forever and like just babble on about shit that like no one really cares about? I always think I'm like really boring. So I guess like when time will tell, but we didn't review an episode for like weeks. So we did okay. We did okay because we wanted to stretch it to get to Christmas, and we just did a load of like other stuff. Like we still got one season of Torchwood to do. We still got all the Sarah Jane Adventure stuff to do. A load of classic stuff, which we're reviewing today. We're reviewing Trial of a Time Lord, which would you say stupidly agreed to watch? Or
yeah, I was surprised that you wanted to do it. Like 14 episodes is a lot. Like I'm a trial lover, but when you said it, I was like, you don't know what you're signing yourself up to.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Aiden as well was like, you don't know what you're doing. Like, it's just not the right decision. And I also like, I don't know, because you'd been talking about coming to Perth for a while.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's okay. Like, we'll set what we're going to do. And I think it was like at least a month and a bit ago where I was like, why don't we do, Trial of a Time Lord? And I just kept pushing it back like I always do.
Yeah.
Kept pushing it back and was like, okay, I'm just going to like watch this like next week. And then I left it till, I think I started like less than a week ago. So I channeled through it.
I'm surprised you managed to finish it in that short amount of time.
Yeah. I think it being Christmas was like a double-edged sword because like I had time, but also it was quite, I have controversial viewings where like I can like kind of like multitask, which people say is like really
so you weren't really experiencing it?
No, not really. We don't all have an old TV, Josh, that can play.
It's only black and white. I can't watch color stuff on it.
Is that through was that your Blu-ray box set for season 2?
Yeah, it was. So I was watching like
that's amazing.
So for the viewers at home, I bought an old HMV TV, like from it's like a 1965 black and white television set. And I got it serviced, so they had like a HDMI cable, so I can plug in a Blu-ray player and stuff like that. So I've been watching like 60s Doctor Who on an authentic 1960s TV, how they used to watch it.
How's the sound on it?
It's really good. Like I was really lucky because a lot of those old TVs, like the speakers at the bottom is like all broken, but mine was in really good condition, so it sounds really nice. It's mono, but it sounds really good. It's good mono.
Are you able to like, even if like the sound box was broken, are you able to get it fixed and stuff? Like you can fix up all those old TVs and stuff?
So it's a bit hard because like it's becoming like a dying art form. Like the place I got it serviced, the guy he wasn't that old, but like there's a lot of like young.
The old folks, but like, the TV shop folks.
No, they're great, and he was really, really great. And I've noticed that they've started like hiring younger people, so I think they're trying to pass down that knowledge because there could be a point where like no one knows how to make these anymore, how to fix them. So it's nice that I could get it properly serviced.
We were talking on DMs about like VHSs and stuff. Like I want to get into like VHSs, and like my girlfriend's uncle's like a hoarder, like worse than me, with peace and love.
Got any missing episodes?
Yeah, probably in that
16mm tapes.
Oh, dude, it's like I said to Kim's dad, I was like, I want to get into VHS and get like an old TV. And it's like my brother will have one. Just go over and take it. And I want to get into it because are there any Doctor Who VHSs?
Yeah, they've released like pretty much all the classic series on it. I don't know if the new series ever got a VHS. But I have a few at home. Probably I found them at like op shops and stuff.
Josh, just be careful. You're inside the Trial of the Time Lords right now, so just don't make any wrong moves, guys.
All right, I'm going to do my best not to be put on trial for anything I say.
That I see Valiard, who gets mentioned quite.
Knuckers Yard.
Doesn't he get mentioned? I've heard the Valiard being mentioned quite a lot in New Who.
Yeah, what is your take on the Valiard? Who do you think he is? Because it's very up in the air.
I was hoping you could tell me. I mean, so it's kind of like, it's almost like what the Doctor's like dark side, alter ego type. Yeah, sorry, Dykes, it's true.
Yeah, it's
Is that what they were going for with the Dream Lord almost? Like he was like a Valiard kind of? Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense now.
Because there's some people who think, no, the Valiard is a genuine incarnation between the 13th and final regeneration.
Okay.
So there's that bit, but then there's also like they're an amalgamation of the Doctor's worst traits. So which one is it? Is it like a possible future, or is it like they will be one of the future Doctors? Because now 13th and final incarnation could mean anything. Because Stephen Moffat changed it, where he's like, here's a million regenerations, and then Chris Chibnall was like, actually, you've had a billion regenerations. Yeah. And it's like, how many Doctors are there? Well, everyone in the UK has played the Doctor at this point.
Pretty much. I think especially with Chibnall being such a fan of the classic era.
Yeah.
I think like seeing stuff like this, I'm like, man, this is like so you can tell like stuff like The Timeless Child could be so inspired by like a storyline like this where it's like you don't know really where like the value kind of sits. And I had no idea who he was. And I was like kind of watching it and I was like, man, this guy hates the Doctor. Like it's like this prosecution of like the Doc and like I don't know, because I kind of like throw myself into these like situations with like the classic Who, and I don't mean to upset anybody by saying, you know, I mean, I do have the. Would you say you're the classic Who expert?
I wouldn't say I'm the classic Who expert, but I have watched all of it.
I think you are. I think you're being too harsh on yourself. I think you are.
I would say I have a niche in 60s Doctor Who, especially in the missing episodes. I know a lot about the 60s. When you go into like 70s onwards, I love it and I'm very passionate about it and I know quite a lot, but I'd never say I'm an expert. There are people out there who know so much about like Tom Baker stories and stuff like that. That's not me. I'm a Hartnell person through and through.
Well, wow. So you have watched every existing classic episode.
Yeah, all of them.
That
multiple times because I'm sad.
That is like something that I don't think a lot of people can say because I don't think I've ever met anyone who's done that. Like you've watched every episode of Doctor Who available, included New Who as well. Like that's pretty insane. Yeah,
I think it's like it was a weird time when I started because like I my first Doctor was David Tennant, but like with like the Matt Smith era, with Stephen Moffat's writing, it very much encouraged you to delve into the past.
Yeah,
because it was constant. It was like constant references and stuff like that. So you wanted to like know more. Yeah. You know, the first time I heard about missing episodes was on Victory of the Daleks when they talked about Power of the Daleks being its inspiration. That's when I first found out the missing episodes were a thing. And now I'm mentally ill. And all I talk about is 1960s missing episodes.
Yeah, there is something about watching classic Who that makes you feel kind of like special. Because I don't know, I kind of like telling people that I watch it because I want to see the look of like disgust and like questions in their head. And they're like, you know, I said to my mum yesterday that I watched Child of a Time Lord, which is like 14 episodes of like the old series. She just couldn't wrap her head around why I would do such a thing.
I think it's hard with Doctor Who as well because, especially in the classic series, it was shot like a soap opera.
Yeah, totally.
It was shot like a sitcom.
It literally is.
You know, so like whereas something like Star Trek, it was always, well, not always, but I think it was mainly predominantly shot single cam. So and it's shot on film, so it looks good. Whereas Doctor Who is terrible image quality. It looks cheap because it is cheap, and it would look more expensive if they shot it on film. But those cameras make it look so cheap that the really low budgets look even worse.
Yeah.
You know, like, have you seen Spearhead from Space?
No.
It's a John Pertwee story and it was shot completely on 16mm film and it's a completely different experience. And you'd be like, Doctor Who, if it looked like this every week, I think it would have a very different reputation. And I think a lot of people would watch the classic series if it looked like that.
Yeah.
What's the flux?
John Pertwee is definitely the Dot that I feel like I've because I've watched quite a bit now, and I've only watched one story of Tom Baker and one story of Peter Davison, but I would definitely say that John Pertwee is probably either him or Sylvester is probably my favorite because I find those storylines so great. Like even like the stuff they just do with Classic Who though is just so interesting. Like the fact that with John Pertwee, he has like what 2 seasons set at Unit, or was it just 1 season?
He's in season 7, 8, half 9, and then in season 10 he gets his title spot. But in season 9 he starts traveling out there as well.
That's insane.
So it was a big change.
Yeah, that's massive.
Yeah, it's
like it just stuck at Unit, and then like this season is like, you know, we're in a courtroom.
Yeah,
with the entirety of season 23 is like set in a courtroom. Because I was confused because Aiden said to me about it, he was like, it's entirely set in a courtroom, and I didn't understand what he meant by that.
Yeah,
but I think it's actually a unique way of storytelling. It says here the 23rd season of the British science fiction TV series Doctor Who, known collectively as The Trial of a Time Lord, aired in weekly episodes from the 6th of September to the 6th of December. In 1986, it contained 4 adventures. See, it's weird. They give the episode titles or the serial titles here, but they didn't do that on the one that I watched. They got
No,
them.
so on the broadcast, it's just Trial of the Time Lord episode 1, 2.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Well, I think parts. But anyway,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it was fandom or these were the official production names for these
Yeah, that'd be interesting, wouldn't
because
it?
it was different directors.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm not sure. I just prefer calling it Trial of the Time Lord as a whole because I think it is just one big story.
It kind of is, and I think that's what makes it unique and cool. That's what I liked about it, where they got the mysterious planet, mind warp, terror of the Vervoids, and the ultimate foe. The season also marked the final regular appearance of Colin Baker as the Sixth Doctor, and also Perry.
Yeah.
I have so many questions for you. So first of all, what do you think of this season 23?
I love a courtroom drama. So I do love Trial of the Time
Who
Lord.
doesn't? Who doesn't?
It's always I feel like fandom always talks about how it would be so much better if they got rid of all the trial stuff, which is the individual stories. Disagree. I think most of the stories, if they were without the trial aspect, would be very, very dull.
Definitely.
I understand a lot of the trial stuff, it's the same cliffhanger over and over again, but I don't care. I love it because it's camp, it's drama, it's just pointless drama, and I eat it up every time.
I agree. I know that people have. I read quite a few things about it, about how people were saying that the court stuff didn't go anywhere. But yeah, I disagree as well. I think that was a very unique, cool thing to do. And then when I started watching episode 1, and they turned to the Matrix, which I think because we had you on Hellbent. They mention the Matrix in it or something, or they go to the Matrix.
Yeah, they're in the Matrix in that as
Is this character relevant at all?
Who's this?
This lady?
That's the Inquisitor.
That is the
Girl
Inquisitor.
boss.
Who definitely...
Girl boss.
We love her.
Hell yeah.
She definitely comes around the end. But yeah, this is the person who is there's the Valyard who's so there's the fence, which is kind of like the Doctor, who's kind of defending himself. And then the person who was trying to get the Doctor to, give up all his lives. And then that'll be it if he gets made guilty. Well, that's what I took away from it. And then
this guy back here, that's the Valyard.
That is the Valyard. Yeah. Wow. So, yeah, I found it really interesting that the whole idea is that, they went to the courtroom and then we got to see the Matrix, and that was actually just the episode. But I guess the episodes where I kind of scratch my head a little bit. The mysterious planet.
Yeah, let's start with that one.
So that's the Thirst 4.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fine.
It's because it's written by Robert Holmes, isn't it? I think it's one of his weaker scripts.
That's right.
I think it's his last as well.
Yeah, so 7 problems occurred during production, including the death of scriptwriter Robert Holmes.
Yeah, so sorry to speak.
Homie died.
Ill of the dead.
Joe doing it. Jesus.
But yeah, because
sounds like he died writing a stinker. Sorry.
So there's basically this story that they Perry and the Doctor land on a planet that's very much like Earth, and there's this underground society, and then there are these ravages on top of the planet. I don't know. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I guess I was intrigued at the beginning with the whole idea of the trial. That kind of took me by surprise.
Yeah. And
they're trying to the Valyard's trying to stitch the Doctor up by showing how he puts Perry in danger and takes things too far, and
it was by this season that I think they both were we need to be nicer on screen to each other. So the script was primarily the same, but they kind of altered their lines on how they delivered the lines as well to make them seem like they're more friendly, because it was getting to a point where they just why do these two people travel anymore? They hate each other.
Yeah, that's the kind of weird vibe, isn't it? I know Aiden was saying as well that they really thought that this was going to be the next big thing on TV, it was going to be revolutionary. And I think that the writing kind of sets it apart. But it sucks because I can see what they were going for, but it's this story is it's kind of whack and weird, but it's kind of it is kind of cool though, because back in the final story, we see characters come back and it all kind of gets addressed, or everything that was happening in that episode. But I don't know. Probably my favorite story though definitely was Mind Warp.
Really?
Yes.
That's intriguing. Because let's I'll say one thing about Mysterious Planet before we move on.
Yes, please.
I watched it with my partner for the first time years and years and years and years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've tortured him to watch Trial of the Time Lord.
Good
and
Lord.
Also reconstructions of missing episodes, and he's still with me.
Wow.
And we've been together for almost 10 years.
10 years nearly.
Yeah,
Holy
isn't that nuts?
smokes.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Let's get some
Can we
applause.
get an applause?
Yeah, 100%.
So what I'm saying
Congratulations.
is if you can torture your partner
well
with
done.
classic Doctor Who and they stay with you, then it's for life, baby.
That's a keeper.
It's a keeper.
That's a keeper.
So so when I watched it with him, there's a scene at the end with the L1 robot, and he's got the Time Lord files in a little briefcase,
Mm-hmm.
and he literally started crying because he was like, he just has a little briefcase because he wants to go home because he looked really cute, and I was like, you're a sensitive little soul.
That
But it is cute if you look back. It is cute. Yeah.
But I'm getting a bit sick of seeing a massive ass robot be the villain of some classic story.
Yeah,
like
he's a big boy.
we had this in the Green Planet. It's just some dumbass like computer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, guys. Maybe enough with the robots and like, the classic like evil mastermind being just like this tin robot. But, as far as like classic stories go and like Colin Baker stories, I didn't think it was too bad. But yeah, this story I did really like, which is Mind War, which is Perry's last episode. Nicola Bryant, yeah.
So I'm here to fact check. So
That's why Josh is the expert with
I'm the
classic
official
Who.
correspondent.
Did you like Perry as a character?
I love Perry. I love
Yeah,
Nicola.
Perry's great.
Oh my God, I'm going to share a sad story.
Gone.
So I went to a convention
Tea.
in Adelaide years and years and years ago, and it was before I had like a job, so I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So Paul McGann was there. So I had to choose only 2 people to get a signature from because I couldn't afford any more.
Yeah.
So I bought one from Fraser Hines and one of Paul McGann because I was like, I'm never going to see Paul McGann here in Adelaide ever again.
Who's Fraser Hines?
Fraser Hines played Jamie McCrimmon, the second Doctor companion.
Jamie. Okay. Yep.
But Perry was my next in line, but I couldn't afford it. I had no money.
Yeah.
But I was waiting for my friend who was getting a signature from her. So I was waiting just like behind him. And she was like, oh, do you have something like I want her to sign? And I didn't have anything and I felt awful. And it was kind of like an awkward moment. So I hope Nicola Bryant doesn't hate me.
Because you didn't have anything that she could.
Because I had no money. I couldn't pay for an autograph.
God,
She's disappointed in you,
to be
Josh.
fair,
Which
like
is
that's
fair,
that's sick though that you got to like actually meet Paul McGann and stuff. Was it that? What?
I'm not going to say anything.
What? Wait, what happened? What happened?
No, I'll say it. No, not on this podcast. I'll talk to you later about it.
Is Paul McGann cancelled? Or
No, Paul McGann is not cancelled.
Okay.
No, but it's a funny
dear.
story. But it's not a story. I'm not the one to tell it.
Oh
Let's just say
God.
that.
Okay, but you got the signature in the end.
I did. I did get a signature.
Okay. Oh God.
All right. I will say this:
Yeah, go
when I went
Yeah?
out to get his signature, he didn't actually look at me or talk to me. His assistant did. So I talked to his assistant, and he scribbled his name, and then his assistant passed it to me. So I actually didn't talk to Paul again.
Oh no.
But
Oh,
I've
no.
heard there are other reasons why that was the case. I've heard every other person on the planet has apparently had lovely situations with Paul McGann. Apparently he's great at conventions. I just happened to get him at a bad time, I think. And let's just leave it at that.
I've heard that though. Like I know that I think Jenna only did one. I think that's Jenna Coleman's last.
Yeah.
I
Poor
think-
Jenna.
I think she had a
they
bad
did her
experience.
dirty.
I think that she had a bad experience.
Yeah, I think it was an unflattering photo set up, and I don't think she realized how unbothered she looked.
Yeah.
And those lines are long, and I think doing conventions not easy. So, and also like you're meeting this person for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
If you met me for 10 seconds, you could have got me in a bad moment.
Yeah.
And then in that 10 seconds, you're like, oh, that person's an asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're not getting a true representation of that. And on that same day, I met Katie Manning, and she was like so lovely, and she talked to me like outside of the convention and everything like that. So, I got her at the right point.
Were you doing
I
YouTube
just-
then? Like,
Nah.
Okay.
I was like 18.
Plus, they have
So,
like
yeah.
they had the same conversations with like fans like all day. Like,
Yeah.
how many times in the last hour they've been told that like
Yeah.
that they love their work, that they're a great
Yeah.
actress, like that they love them, and
Yeah.
like after a while, it's going to start to sound a bit like mundane.
Yeah.
And I guess like we met. I say we. I mean Aiden, dumbass. He's in New Zealand right now.
Who?
Yeah, who?
I don't know him.
That dumbass in New Zealand right now in his dumb van traveling around New Zealand.
Are you talking about the old host of the
Yeah, the old host.
podcast? Okay,
Yeah, him.
I don't know who that man is.
Me and Redacted's name.
Yeah. Thank
We
you.
went to we saw Arthur Darville at a con, and that was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
And that was sick. I was just too nervous though. Like Aiden spoke to him a lot more than I did, but I was just really, really nervous because something about me and like famous people, I just get freaked out. I had it with this rapper once. So I went up to him and I just couldn't speak. And he was lovely. Do you know Illy?
Nah.
The rapper Illy? He's like the second like biggest like Australian rapper. And I didn't even like listen to his stuff. And I got a vinyl signed and I just couldn't speak. I just went blank. But and I guess like they have to deal with like nerds like me all day who like probably are like socially awkward and like they're there to get, and I wonder if they get like paid well. It must be good because like
as far as I know, they get paid the rate to be there. Then they get a cut of every photo and signature as well.
Damn, so they get like some
and it's
fat
usually
compensation.
So it depends on like how popular you are and how much of an in demand you are. So it's all very dependent on that.
I remember when I asked you, like you said you went to like Doctor Who fan events, like the cinema and stuff. Do people come up to you and say, "I'm a big fan of your content"?
I haven't been to one since I became a YouTuber.
Okay,
if you want to use that word. So the only time someone in public has ever come up to me was back in my Tumblr days, like 2010. Some person came up to me and was like, "You're this person," and I was like, "Yeah," but no one's ever come up to me and said,
"Wow,
you're Josh from YouTube."
That surprised me because, like, they're pretty big following.
I don't know if Doctor Who's popular in Adelaide. Like, I don't know many people who are fans of it. Like, maybe if I went to the UK or something like that, but even then, like, I don't think I'm that popular. I don't think I'm famous. I don't think I would be recognized on the street. That's never happened to me, and I don't think it ever will.
I suppose, like, we were talking about in the car about how, like, most of our fan base is, like, in the UK. Like, it's so, like,
who watch my stuff,
like 80% is, like, the UK. So, like, Australia-wise. Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know. I guess it would be freaky. I mean, like, I know. Not that, of course, I've never had that, but back when I did,
guys, we can't take this
God
slander.
bless Perth.
Yeah, thank you, WA.
Back when I used to vlog.
When you're here, you're a WA stan, okay? So
when I vlogged, I got noticed by a couple of kids once, but that's just because like it was just like young ass kids, like run around and like word got about that there was a vlogger in said area. And that was kind of cool. I don't know. Unfortunately, like, if I went to like a screening for like a Doctor Who movie and someone recognized me, unfortunately, I'm one of those twatty people who would be like, me?
You're not even dressed up.
I'm like, me? Oh my God.
I was going to go to the Doctor Who and the Daleks movie.
And you got COVID.
And I got COVID, so I missed it. So,
okay. I'm not joking. Someone there would have known you.
Oh, I put it on Twitter so like I knew people who knew me who I haven't met yet. So it's not so much like I was going to be noticed by some random stranger. It's people on Twitter who I talk to. Or
would you have treated that as like a work thing or more of a?
No, it wouldn't be a work thing.
Well, I mean, because knowing that you might get recognized. I mean, is that like does that change how you look at going to events? Like as a fan versus as a creator? Well,
I don't consider myself to be a celebrity of any sort.
Okay, so
you're removed from that. Like, because once, like,
fan first. That's cool. That's nice.
Like, someone asked me like to do a panel once in the UK when they said that I come over, and I said I'd rather die because I don't consider myself. Well, like, imagine being on a stage talking about myself for like an hour. Like, who would go to that? And if they did, like,
people would
just come up and talk to me. You can talk to me. Like, I know I'm very intimidating and very masculine and, it's just scary, but I'm approachable.
You are approachable. Do you know what blows my mind? We didn't even like talk this time last year. I remember it was March of 2022. It's January 2nd now, or 2023. And I was talking to Aiden about psyching myself up to DM you and Crispy about making like a cameo in the 100th episode of the podcast. And Crispy said he'd send one in and then forgot. and then you said, you guys seem really lovely, but I've never watched your content before, so I can't say anything in. Which makes sense, by the way, because we could have been like anybody.
That's the thing. I'm really, really, because I want to be someone who's like, if someone asks me to do something, I do it.
Yeah.
And I am very open to stuff like that. I am open to collaborations, but I also need to do my due diligence.
Yeah.
You know, I make sure I watch, because the last thing I want to do is be associated with some like alt-right.
That's why stuff like Cameos, you know, like the Cameo services, were like, that's scary, because like people, they like you to like shout out their businesses and stuff, and it's like you're shouting out like podcasts. Like Aiden got you probably weren't watching the show this point. Aiden got Noel Clark to give me a cameo, and he shouted out 50%.
Yeah, that's a really poorly aged.
And he just said it, and I'm like, what if we were like, do you have that soundbite somewhere? It used to be on the show, but
what was it of? Noel Clark saying what?
He said, shout out to the 50%.
Yeah, I don't know. Podcast. It might be on there, but I don't think I
took it off there. Once he got cancelled, I took it off.
Why would any of us have Noel Clark soundbites? Kind of ask yourself that.
Well, back in the day, it was cool though, because I was like, this is sick. I have someone from Russell's era shouting out the podcast.
Before you knew the type of
But it came out eventually. But like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
for legal reasons, allegedly. But
I totally get it. But it's scary because like, I didn't I'm
as the host, Josh has to stop us from getting sued.
Yeah, for legal reasons, this is all allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. See, this is why Snares is onto the legal shit.
That's why he gets the top billing, obviously, as the new host. So
top billing.
Yeah, but I don't think to say about that.
we didn't talk though. Like, it's crazy. Like now you're here in sunny Perth, and we're actually like filming together.
It's been a long time, old comrade.
That's Sontaran. He said that. He's in this episode. He's in Mind Warp.
Are you serious? Wait, this guy?
General.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, wasn't that General fucking Star or some dumb shit?
Really?
Yeah,
I'm not good with Doctor Who actors.
He's Lord Kiv. The little green.
Is that the same guy?
Oh I noticed the voice, and I was like, I know this voice, and I was like, that sounds like that twat Sontaran. Yeah, so he came back. Yeah, he played Sontaran General Style in Doctor Who in 2008. Yeah,
that's so funny. I didn't know that.
And he plays Lord Kiv, the little sluggy man who. Does Perry die? Because
is it the same voice actor, but it's the same character?
It's the same actor. So it's so he plays he plays a little slug. You can bring up if you want, producer Dan, but he plays like if you look up Lord Kiv. Jeez, sorry, Josh.
Producer.
God. Jeez, and you say you're not a classic Who.
Look, I gotta be here. I gotta be here.
Aiden does it all the time. So you're saying it wrong. Get it right.
What do we do? Lord Kiv what?
Is that how you say it,
just
Josh?
Lord Kiv.
Lord Kiv.
That's all we need.
Yeah, there he is.
Let's see.
This little green dude, he is General Stull from the 10th Sontaran Battle Fleet, or whatever the hell he says. But yeah, this little dude, so does Perry die? Because at the end of the episode,
so originally she was supposed to die.
Yeah.
But then they changed their minds last minute. It's like, no, it's sad, so we'll make her live.
It doesn't make any sense. Because like there's
no
like
one's
this
happy about it.
There's like this like barbarian bloke in it who's like some like he's like he's like some hairy ass guy.
Brian Blessed.
And then it's just like some hairy ass like caveman. And then they somehow set up this like romantic thing at the end of the episode. They're like, and Perry lived happily ever after with him. I'm like, where did this come from?
I have a feeling that maybe the character of Perry is just attracted to toxic men.
Pretty much.
And I don't think it's her fault.
Sorry, Perry.
I think it is the writers, because the Doctor treats her horrifically.
Yeah.
And then she ends up with Yakanos, who's even worse. Maybe she just thinks she can fix them. I don't know. But either way, I think Perry can do better. I love you, Perry. And find someone who treats you right.
There's that little the little doggy fella who's like
oh yeah, I love the dog.
The little doggy fella. It's a very strange episode. Dude, Classic Who is so weird.
Philip Martin's a bit hit and miss with me, the writer. Like he wrote Vengeance of Varos, which I think is one of the best Sixth Doctor stories. And I don't think it's a controversial thing to say. I don't think Aiden likes it. But
Aiden.
Yeah. Me and my partner love it. So, and we're right about everything. So,
well, yeah. Well, when it comes to, yeah, dude, I kind of want to get I want to do a video where it's like showing someone who hasn't seen Classic Who before Classic Who.
Yeah.
Just to get that. Because there's so much like fun stuff in it where I'm like, this could be some hilarious content.
Yeah.
When you don't know what to expect and you start watching it and you're like, woof. Because there's some funny stuff in here where it's just like, you're right, like the way the budget is just like crap and like the production just looks cheap and the camera's like,
because I wanted to do it on my channel for ages, but you just can't eclipse Doctor Who. BBC will like shut you down like that.
That's the problem because we did the watch along for Runaway Bride.
Yeah,
which people seem to dig. But I was like, I mean, it's like if I try and do that with Classic Who, that's just kind of boring. It's like, but yeah, BBC and their copyright. Sorry, I need to give you this by the way. Which, all right, Josh, your favorite drink.
Diet Coca-Cola. Yippee!
There you go.
That was a genuine yippee.
Yes!
That was a genuine reaction.
Okay. Thank you. There you go.
I'm cracking open this Diet Coca-Cola.
How can we not crack open a cold one together? I'm so sorry if these are all messy. These have been in my bag, so I do apologize. But yeah, I thought, how could we not crack a cold one together? Your favorite drink?
Let's see if I can do some video editing and I'll make it
wait. Come into my camera. Come into my. Oh, come into your camera.
Okay,
nice.
Oh wow!
Producer Dan, come on.
We gotta.
What is this?
I think that worked out really well. My body needed that.
So I was saying
Thank you.
I don't really like Diet Coke, but
you did it for me, so I appreciate that.
Well, the plan was to like, I got you a 6-pack. Do you get it? Because what is this?
That's what
I'm trying to get the Coke color. You know, like
that's what I feel like when I'm drinking.
Yeah, is it blue? Yeah, blue. I think is a good
blue.
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm trying to find.
Thanks, producer Dan. I was going to do the joke because you're not into the beer, so I was going to be like, I got you a 6-pack. Of Diet Coke. Ha ha ha! This is hilarious. See, I'm into comedy. Okay, I write this hilarious bit, and then I give you a 6-pack of Coke of Diet Coke for your trip to Australia.
I do feel like I finally landed in Perth. Now that I have a Diet Coca-Cola, I am alive.
Does it taste any different to Adelaide's?
It tastes exactly the same, which is good. It's familiar. It's reassuring. It's a slice of home.
Are you aware of the beer Swan Draft?
No.
Okay, because that recently started being brewed again in Western Australia.
Okay.
But originally it was being brewed in another state and they said that it was like a WA beer. And now it's finally come home.
Wow.
So yeah,
bare minimum.
There's the beer facts for,
it's finally home,
for
folks.
Josh. It's coming home. All right, so back to Colin. I actually thought Colin was actually probably, would you say this is his best performance?
Oh yeah, he's so good in this. I always hate when people go on, it's like, oh, the Sixth Doctor was never good till Big Finish. Bullshit. Watch Trial of a Time Lord. He is excellent. Especially in that final 2 episodes, he is electric. And I think he has a lot of good stuff in his first season as well, but I think by this season, he's really got it. And I think it is ridiculous that he didn't get a 3rd season. And I think the BBC made a massive mistake because I think...
What did you say people say about him?
That he stinks. I don't know what I said. I say a lot of things.
Disgusting.
Wait, he only got 2 seasons? 22 and 23?
Yeah, 23 and that's it.
What? No way, really?
Yeah. There's a lot of stories about why, but it's all up in the air. It's all he said, she said.
So, wait, the episode we watched, I always get it wrong. Revenge of the Cybermen?
Attack of the Cybermen.
Yeah, how many
Revenge
times?
of the Cybermen is
in season 2. Sorry, yeah, so Attack of the Cybermen. That was season 22. What episode was that again? That was episode 4.
Attack of the Cybermen was his first 2 episodes of season 22.
So that was his first as a Doctor?
All right, technically 3 seasons because he was in the end of Peter Davison's
right, when
first
Peter
season.
Davison regenerates in the caves of
but that's not what
Arasani?
I meant. I meant he should have 3 full seasons to himself because he's good. At least.
Right, so you're saying because he had 3 seasons being at the end of... Yeah. So is he in the caves of How'd you say Adrazani?
Androzani. Yeah, he's in the regeneration scene, but that's it.
I've always wanted to watch that episode.
It's good.
That's considered one of the best eps, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's solid. I haven't watched it in years. I wonder if it's still as good now. I'm waiting for the collection set. So I'm not rewatching anything unless it's on in HD.
Yeah, you sound like Aiden now.
Yeah.
Considering you're trying to replace him, you're sounding a lot like him.
I'm not going to say anything.
Okay, so speaking of Caves of Androzani, that was the first video I watched of yours.
I did a video about Caves of Androzani.
Mm-hmm. With the little scuba diver. You did like the haunted episode where it came out on Halloween.
That wasn't about Caves of Androzani.
Oh shit.
That was about
oh god. Isn't it not?
Oh my god. It's for Revenge of the Cybermen.
No, it's not.
It is. Because that's where they filmed in those caves.
Why do I think it was the case of Androzani?
I don't know. Because
Are you sure it's not? Because I'm pretty sure
I'll be honest. As soon as the video goes up,
yeah, you just forget.
It's gone. I don't remember it. I don't remember ever making it. I could have said anything, and I'd be like, I've never said that before in my life. As soon as this podcast comes out, I don't know what happened.
Well, that's good.
Except I will never forget a Coca-Cola.
Because I remember it was right after the you could do an advert for. Would you ever do a Diet Coke sponsorship? And if you say no, I don't believe you.
It would be the only sponsorship I would say yes to. Okay. I'm not really into sponsorships.
Really?
They stress me out.
Well, because they give you something to read.
Yeah, it feels like it's work, and I also don't like lying on camera. I work in marketing.
Lying on camera. I love this service.
I don't lie to people. I'm not into that.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Not that button.
I know.
Katarina.
Hope you guys.
Is that a classic Who reference?
Yeah.
Damn nerd. Sorry, I'm so horrible to my lovely guest.
He's my boss, so I have to applaud him. So.
It was after the Women Who Fell to Earth premiere at the cinema that I went to with Aiden, and then I went and I watched my first Josh Snares video, which is pretty ironic because Aiden got me into your content, and he missed out on you being here.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, because I knew he watched my stuff before you did.
Yes, I'm a fake fan, I think.
But if anything, I came in too late to see you guys, so it's fun.
So do you like do you know how sometimes people say like I always know who like watches my content because I always comment on my stuff? Was that like how you got to know Aiden? Because he was like constantly, because I know you followed me on Twitter before Aiden, and I loved that. Yeah, because I would send it to Aiden like, look who just followed me. That was a big day in my life.
I do make a preference for Australian Doctor Who fans because there's not many of us. So I usually will follow back Australian Doctor Who fans. But I
don't think I was doing the podcast then.
I don't know.
That's why we love you, Josh.
God, I have no idea.
I remember even like me and producer Dan were in the Gold Coast, and I was like posting like funny tweets, and like you were liking them, and I was like, holy smokes.
Well, if you're funny, I'll follow you.
You were the one,
if you're not funny,
the one like I got. I see that Quinton Reviews really loves your content.
Oh yeah, I love Quinton. He's sweet.
So producer Dan's a huge fan of him.
Yeah, I love Quinton. Shout out.
Do you guys talk at all?
We talk every now and then. Years ago, he messaged me, and I didn't know him at that point. He was watching my YouTube channel, and he said we should collaborate, and it just never happened because I don't know what to do. I
don't want to do with it. Like,
I have no idea. I'm not good with that. I'm not like, when it comes to collaborations, I'm not really the ideas person for that. If someone's like, hey, I want to do this, I'd be like, okay.
Right.
I can help out.
If someone says, hey, you just fell out of the wormhole, you just go along with it.
You just go along with it.
Yeah. I do love to watch his Garfield videos.
The Garfield videos slaps. Dude, I love Quinton. Actually, the first video I watched from Quinton was his End of Time Part 1 and 2 video.
Oh yeah,
insane! Like you wouldn't look at his channel now and think he does Doctor Who. Did Doctor Who? Yeah,
content. He tweets about Doctor Who a lot. Doesn't he?
Still watches. Yeah. He still watches. So I saw that he watched your content, which is awesome. But that's sick, man. Like I guess you know, it's a small world, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because like I love his content, and like I guess it just shows that like you can connect through a little thing called Twitter.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, he actually messaged me on Facebook.
Facebook.
This is how long ago. I really don't use Facebook. But he messaged me on that. It was a long time ago now.
Yeah, that would scare me.
But yeah, he's into a lot of missing episode stuff as well. So yeah, he's much of a little Doctor Who freak.
He does a lot of lost media stuff, right?
Yeah, he's into that type of shit. So I think that's why he stumbled upon my stuff. I'm surprised, like, because in the lost media space on YouTube, Doctor Who's rarely mentioned. It is never mentioned.
That's your
weird.
job. That's where you come in. You filled the void, though.
I'm trying to, like, should I try and twist my channel to be more lost media and say lost media instead of missing episodes? So not because I want more people to watch my channel, but to put the word out there, because people are always talking about like Nickelodeon stuff. They're talking about all these like niche things that were broadcast once and then lost. Yeah. But no one's talking about Doctor Who, which is weird because film collectors hate us because the entire discussion is about Doctor Who with them.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like missing episode collectors or whatever, so people who are hoarding stuff, if they have stuff, they hate Doctor Who fans because we're so insistent.
That's what I want to ask you about. So do you believe that there are just collectors who own the copies and just won't say it? Or
yes.
That's without insane though.
I think I know there are them in people's private collections.
That's crazy. Do you think they even watch it though, or they just like having it?
They like having it. Because the thing about film collectors, because in some ways it's a good thing because it's in their collection, it is safe, it is not deteriorating.
Yeah.
It is not being viewed, which is even better. Mm-hmm. If it is staying in their little archive.
All right, Dan.
Sorry, guys.
If it's staying in their little archive, that's great. But the problem is a lot of Doctor Who fans think, oh, one day they'll die and then their families will donate these film cans to the BBC. That's not going to happen. You know, we got to stop living in this fantasy world where we think that's going to happen. These film cans, what's going to happen is this person's going to die. These film cans will be handed to other private collectors and then they will hoard it and the cycle will continue.
Right.
Or even worse is that the family don't actually understand the worth of these films and they'll bin it.
Insane.
And, you know, I hate to turn it into like so negative like that because that's not the case for all of them. A lot of people generally don't know the worth of what they have. And this goes to all across Doctor Who. You know, when we talk about John Cura's telesnaps, you know, like so a telesnap is an off-air photograph where someone pointed a camera at a television screen and took pictures of it. Mm-hmm. John Cura was commissioned to do these for lots of BBC and ITV shows back in the 60s. So Doctor Who has a lot of them. So he used to take photos of everything. So this is like the last surviving record of a lot of lost media. When he passed away in 1969, his wife offered this to the BBC and said, hey, here are all his telesnap collection.
Yeah, right.
Take this. And they were like, we don't see the worth in it. We don't want it. And she junked it.
Oh my God.
Now we look back and there's so many Doctor Who missing episodes and so much lost media in general from the BBC and ITV that no remnants exist. And we're so lucky that we have a whole bunch of these telesnaps from Doctor Who that we take for granted. But we could have had them all. Potentially, unless they weren't commissioned. But potentially we could have stuff like Dalek's Master Plan. We could have stuff like the Space Pirates. You know, Space Pirates is very exciting to many people, but having that bit of lost media is so important and we're missing so much because of people not understanding the worth, and it's sad. And
that's why you believe in like keeping the content, like because you always say like, I get it as well. It's like I fall into this trap of like, you know, you upload on YouTube and it's like, it's there, but it's not because they can take it down whenever they like. It's like, so do you save all your videos on like a hard drive or like a...
Because the thing is, I don't see worth in what I do. So no, I keep some stuff, but a lot of my stuff I'm like, that's not important. But, you know, that's the thing. You have to rely on the community to do the right thing. We like so much of Doctor Who's lost content is thanks to the hard work of fans. We're talking about people like Graham Strong who wired in his reel by reel tape recorder into the TV to record crystal clear audio that they've used for animations, for reconstructions. The BBC said thank you and gave him a tour and that's it. And they've been making reconstructions, animations, all this stuff off of his hard work. And if he didn't do that, if these other fans didn't do that, we'd have nothing. So, you know, and this is still happening today. We're talking about stuff like, you know, the new Batgirl movie that's not out anymore, but all this stuff that's on streaming that keeps getting like taken down. And if it isn't for people, the community to come in there and preserve it, it's gone.
Well, that is why physical media is like so important as well. Cause like, you're right about the whole, like, you know, someone could be on Netflix and get taken down. What were you saying? Dan doesn't really have a mic right now. Dan was saying about, what was it, Westworld, that is getting taken off because, and then you can't even watch it anymore unless you have like a physical copy of something or like a physical copy of it. I guess that's why like, well, these collectors though, like these collectors who have like these film reels, like where would they have even got them from? Like at auctions, like.
So a lot of it is it's its own network. So they're all talking to each other. It's all, I've got this, you've got this, let's trade. It's a lot of that because monetary value doesn't matter. It's about having something that no one else has. And, you know, I it's hard for me because I'm not someone who can understand that mentality because it's so against my beliefs. My belief is information for all. I think it should be accessible and free to everyone. Especially stuff like this, which means so much to people. You know, this isn't some random episode of, you know, like Big Brother or something. That's one episode is missing. You know, this is like that really is culturally important. And I'm not just talking about Doctor Who, I'm talking about so much lost media. And that's why people care so much about it. That's why people are so interested by it. And it's just, it's very sad. I wish I could understand the mentality more. And I know there's reasoning behind it. And I know we should be more forgiving. But I find it hard to feel forgiving to people who are not very generous.
What do you think? Is there like a thing that people... networks or something need to be doing to be like preserving it more?
The BBC.
What I mean?
The thing is, because the thing is, what we're really dealing with here is we're dealing with people who only want lost media in exchange for lost media. So if you were a film collector and you had something that no one else had, and you could trade it. But they might not be interested in it because it all comes down to like personal taste.
So it's just a super niche market. Like, yeah.
So there's a potential like someone out there could have, I don't know, let's say 10th Planet episode 4. Good chance that's out there. I think it's out there. Not saying it is, but I think it could be. There's a good chance someone would hold on to that because it has significant value because it's William Hartnell's Regeneration episode. And a lot of these film collectors, it was a part of their childhood. They're not Doctor Who fans anymore. These people who were Doctor Who fans as a kid, they watched it as a kid and they have warm memories of it. And then they grow up and they're like, I've got this. No one else has it. That's the worth of it. So if someone comes up to them and says, hey, I've got a copy of this obscure lost media, and they're like, I'm not interested in that because it doesn't have any emotional value to me, they don't want to trade. So, you know, like you'll have someone like Ian Levine who had a copy of Invasion of the Dinosaurs. He had, I don't remember which episode, but he had an episode that the BBC didn't have and he held on to it so he could trade for what he considered a more valuable missing episode. But that episode did exist somewhere else. So it was fine that he hoarded this in the potential to trade. I don't think Ian Levine has anything anymore. I'm not saying that. This was back in like the 80s. So he was playing the game. The only game that you can play is I've got this, can you give me this and I'll give you this and we'll switch. That is the only game to play. Unless you happen to get someone who, you know, you like a lot of the recent people like, you know, who did Underwater Menace and Galaxy 4. I've forgotten his name, sorry. But he had it in his collection and he didn't know that it was missing. Right. Because a lot of people would assume that Doctor Who, that the BBC would keep their archive in check.
And how do people get these collections? Like, do they just film every episode of TV that they watch?
So with these ones, so when Doctor Who was sent out, they would make copies of it. So they would do a process called telerecording, where they would set up a film camera and point it at a TV or projection. I'm simplifying it. And they would make a copy of the videotape.
That's nuts, yeah.
So they would send these out to Australia, across the world. So a lot of the missing episodes that have come back are copies.
That's mostly from Africa as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So these tapes, and so these reels would be, after a certain period, their rebroadcasting rights would expire, or they would need more room in their archives. So they would be marked to be junked. Now, some people would just junk these. They would take the reel out and then chuck it in the bin. Or someone out there might take it home with them. And then it would end up in a private collection. And then it would sell to other private collectors. Okay. Especially because during this time when people are selling these old film reels, it would have been pre-internet. I doubt anyone's trading missing episodes online. I don't know how film collectors work nowadays.
It's like too low level for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tight-knit community within itself.
Wow.
Do you believe is there like a type of episode or like a serial that you think has actually gone forever? Like no one's heard of it since it just like got burnt?
There's one episode, never say never, but The Feast of Stephen, so episode 7 of the Dark's Master Plan.
So no one knows what that is.
There was never a copy made
that
we know of. Now, when we say there was never a copy made of, it means it was never sent out to be distributed across the world. So it was only ever broadcast in the UK because when they sold Dark's Master Plan overseas, it only ever went to the UK. Dark's Master Plan came to Australia, but we didn't broadcast it here. But we didn't buy episode 7 because it was a Christmas special. So it didn't make sense in the broadcasting sense.
Is that like with Marco Polo as well? There was just one missing?
It's weird. No, Marco Polo has none, which is weird.
Okay.
This is funny. With Dark's Master Plan, there's only have 2 copies. All right. So the UK and Australia. We have 3 episodes from that. We have episodes 2, 5, and 10.
Mm-hmm.
So why do we have those when there's only 2 other copies? Marco Polo, we have I think there was 8 or more copies made because it was distributed a lot of places because it was early Doctor Who and they were testing different countries who's interested in having it. But we have no copies of Marco Polo.
Yeah.
So in theory, you would think there must be Marco Polo out there, but that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
It's just the luck of the draw. Dark's Master Plan, the fact that we have 3 episodes is just crazy. What are the chances? But so you can't really make a really good educated guess when we have examples like that. But then I think this is what I was trying to say earlier. There's always a chance that a producer said, I need a copy of that to review. And that was an internal copy of an episode that was in the BBC that is not an official on the list. It probably wouldn't have been marked up to say, I need a copy of this. So there's always a chance that one of those copies exists somewhere in the wild. But I don't think anyone's ever found one of those. But I've heard that's a possibility. But I wouldn't get my hopes up about that.
It's like you said something like it was like almost like a shack in Africa or something where you could just find old reels and you can go through there, maybe find an episode of Doctor Who or something. Is there something like that where it could be that simple of finding them, or? It's
incredibly difficult to get into archives.
Right.
Look at the stuff like Philip Morris did, Finding the Web of Fear and Enemy of the World. That was a big operation. It wasn't just Philip Morris going through an archive, it was a big team of people.
Right.
And there was a lot of communication and a lot of you're also playing the game there because you're also saying, I know you have something of worth in your archive, but I don't want to clue onto how good that is. And the fact that I want you to give it to me for free because it's BBC property. So it's such a difficult thing because the BBC can't give you $100 bring it back a missing episode.
I was going to ask about money. Yeah. So they can't even ask for that.
No.
So they couldn't even give you we'll give you this much money or you can get a portion of the Blu-ray resale. That's nuts.
Because technically it's their property.
Yeah, true.
But
of course, it's a stolen.
Yeah.
Wow. Wait, this is exciting.
Is that why the name of the game is just to not tell the BBC exactly what you have?
I suppose so. I guess they could probably come in and sue your ass for doing it.
But we say this as well, but then you got stuff like episode 1 of The Crusade, The Lion. So when that was returned, the guy who had it, he sent it to the BBC to make a copy, then he wanted it back. And then he wanted to resell it. So sell the film print to somebody.
Right.
And apparently the BBC had a problem with that at the time. And he was like, I gave you this for free. I could have kept it myself. I should be able to sell it.
Right.
And there was a big legal dispute about who owned this. Is this the BBC's property? But eventually the BBC were like, you know what? It's fine. You can sell this. But eventually I think he ended up making no money because the advertising rights were just a nightmare. Isn't that sad?
It's pretty wild. I can see why you wanted to keep making content about this because it's so fun.
I know so much.
Do you go crazy a little bit knowing all this information, or?
Well, I'm brain dumping right now because it's just in my head now.
Did you have to dig real deep and
I've read a lot of books and stuff. And,
right.
It's hard because it is my little passion.
Yeah.
And my YouTube stuff, it's like my missing episodes documentary, my first big video and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of errors in it because I was very new.
Right.
And over time, I've started making videos that kind of replace that video.
Yeah. Okay.
To re-inform because now I'm very strict. It's I need multiple sources. Today, I am literally going off my memory. So if I've messed something up, that's because I haven't fact checked today. But I usually try and get at least 2 sources, or I chuck a big old allegedly. So
allegedly, of course.
Yeah, that's what the 50% means. 50% accurate.
Yeah, 50% accurate. Yeah. I'm going for at least that. So yeah.
Do you have a favorite video you've made?
Nothing Doctor Who related.
For real?
It's all like stuff I used to make at uni with my friends.
Right.
It's like Karate Nun and stuff like that.
Oh God, I remember that. I know you've been talking about that. Oh God. What, I know you did.
Do you want to screen it? Or?
Yeah, you got the film reel of that. I know I asked you this the first time you come on, but you did that you did the series of like mysteries and stuff.
Oh yeah, Unexplained. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so dope. Do you see yourself like? I know it's hard when like I guess you're like primarily a Doctor Who YouTube channel, but like, have you been doing any more thought about? Because like you've also recently uploaded that you're going to be uploading once a week now.
Yeah.
Do you see any of that not being Doctor Who content?
I think YouTube won't let you.
Yeah.
It's not so much that I know if I make something that I won't get the views. That's not so much a problem, but it makes you feel bad. Because it tells you this is not getting clicks. People aren't watching this. And it as much as I don't try to look at that type of stuff, because realistically I don't really care, because I know that people do like what I do.
What are we talking about, Josh?
That is Karate Nun, yeah.
Karate Nun, we love it.
That's Nick. She's iconic. I love her so much. But yeah.
Yeah, more of this, please, Josh.
I don't think I could make Karate Nun again. I think this is very much like a first year uni project where like you're just filming and you're not thinking too much.
Just having fun,
Whereas now I think too much. Because it's my job, I have to.
Yeah, we used to do stuff like that all the time. Dan and I and Aiden and all that. And it just like, yeah, it was like that where you could just, that's why I like making like the Christmas content. Like, I don't know if you saw any of that, but
yeah,
just like when we filmed the Christmas trailer, like Aiden, like he took it so fucking seriously. There was like 3 different cameras.
Yeah.
I swear I came in and I had to read a script and he was like, okay, now we're going to like revise the script. Then we're going to do it. And we rehearsed it like 10 times in a row until I remembered it. And it's like, okay, now it's time to film it. It took us like an hour and a half to film like a minute trailer. And I was like, it was kind of fun because like we did a video where I reviewed the season 1 and 2 OST vinyl, and like just to be able to just like have fun and not care about, I don't know, the rule of thirds or some dumb shit. Yeah. It's like, it's just fun to do that. And like, but you're right, that video did terrible and I was really proud of it and I thought it looked really fun and it was really fun to do. And yeah, unfortunately it just didn't do well. And it's like that kind of content that just like the vlogs, I love making the vlogs, but they don't do great, you know? And I don't think they ever will do great. And it's a shame because it's sad.
I think it's about finding that balance between what you're enjoying making and what people actually want to watch.
And what actually works with the audience, And
I think I've found that sweet spot where I've realized that a lot of different people like different things that I do. So there's some people who like the more relaxed, jokey, off the cuff stuff that I do, and then some people who hate that. And then there's the documentary stuff that everyone seems to like. That's my neutral. I know that people are going to like that. But at some points I'm like, when are my documentaries getting too niche that no one, like when I talk about John Cura, like no one knows who John Cura is. And it's like, what do you title that video? So, it's
titles are the worst. I hate titles and I'm so bad at it. I always get Aiden to do it mostly. I'm like, you think of a good title because I can't.
What's the point of being alive?
That is the, That's hard. I feel like one of my resolutions is to stop looking at this YouTube Studio app on my phone as much as I am, because I could look at it sometimes, especially if I upload a video. I could look at that shit like 3 times in an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not doing me any good. Like, just gotta like care about it still, but not check it as much, because I just don't see it as like a healthy
thing.
Just make a point, guys, too. Like, we were talking about Quentin reviews earlier and lost media and all that sort of stuff. And I think, I recently watched a video about some Disney theme tune and who composed that. And a lot of this stuff doesn't really get like, cataloged in popular culture unless people go out and do it, you know? So having people like actually talk about the lost media, it does have to happen because otherwise it gets forgotten, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why YouTube is so great. Like having
and it
creators
lets
like that
anyone
is so good.
just get out and do it, put their stuff out, and you don't have to be a BBC employee. You know, you can just talk about the show because you love it.
I love that about it, and that's why I've always loved YouTube. That's why I've done it for so long. It's just like so great that you know you can really tell when someone cares about content. And I don't know. I don't like to associate myself with people who don't, and I care about the quality of it. So the fact that like you know. There's people who are doing that. I don't know. I just think it's really great.
I think it's hard for the BBC because it's such a sore topic for them because it's like, yes, we junked all of these and now we have to try and find a way of getting people excited about our animations and reconstructions and audio releases when the ghost of we junked these, please buy these things that aren't as good. And I think that's always going to be a difficult thing for them to try and do. Whereas with fans, I try and do a positive spin on missing episodes. I try and highlight the people who saved it. And I want to reiterate, missing episodes, the BBC didn't junk the missing episodes out of malice. It was never out of malice. It was an industry-wide problem, and it's something that happens across the world, but it was happening far too late at the BBC, and they knew it. And it took them a long time to figure out how to do it correctly. And thanks to people like Sue Malden, who worked at the BBC, who is a big reason why we have so much back, because she went out and did her job and she made Doctor Who her pet project. She contacted everyone and got everything back. We have so much because of her, and the junking stopped because of people like her. So, you know, I don't want to just rag on the BBC because the BBC did step up.
We love the BBC.
Unfortunately, it was too late. If they were 4 years earlier, we'd be looking at a completely different story. I wouldn't be here talking about Doctor Who missing episodes because there wouldn't be that many.
Has anyone reached out to you? Like, has anyone like from like the missing episodes like reached out to you and been like, man, this content like is great?
No, I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think they want to talk to me.
Okay.
Wouldn't some of those episodes be like their last, you know, I'm sure there were actors that only did that, you know?
Oh, you mean people in them?
Well, like,
or do you mean the collectors?
Well, like, you know, people who like were scavenging to like get them out there. Surely they're like, well, it's great that, you know, this content's actually being loved and there are people who want to make content about it. And
I had a few messages from Philip Morris, but then that was a very long time ago and I don't talk to him anymore. And I didn't really talk to him anymore. He just sent I think he sent some nice messages about it, but I don't really recall. It was a long time ago. But apart from that, no. I talked to people who are like involved with like the missing episodes, animations and that, and I'd like to talk to a lot more of them, but I have a feeling that they don't want to talk to me.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I bought Aiden the Abominable Snowman. The animation, which is going to be the last one for a while, I believe. Yes. So, well, we don't know. With like Russell, I do want to speak to you about Russell real quick.
Yeah.
Because we're in the 60th year now. Now that we're here, we got the new trailer that came out on the 25th in the UK. What are you thinking? Are you really excited, or are you still?
Yeah, I've been talking to people about this. I'm still pumped. I thought it would have died down by now, but I'm still really excited.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, hey.
I think a big part of it is because Donna's coming back, because Donna's my favorite new series companion, full stop. I think she's the best companion, full stop. Sorry, Nissa. But this is number two.
Always.
Donna is perfect. Every episode, I think she is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing negative to say about Donna, and I think Catherine Tate is a blessing. We were so lucky to have her on the show and to have her back again.
Yeah, absolutely. Nah, 100%.
So yeah, I am very excited. I love David Tennant. I keep buying all of his Big Finish audio stuff, so I'm excited to see him back on the screen. So I think it's a good way to bring back an old audience, because the thing is, everyone I know who has stopped watching Doctor Who are going to watch it because David Tennant is it.
Ain't that the truth? I literally had that conversation with my sister the other day. It's like, David Tennant's coming back, and it's like, well, I'll watch. And it's like my mum is as well, and it's like, good gravy. Like,
and it's like Doctor Who fans can complain as much as they like, but he's there for 3 episodes and then he's off. And there's a good chance he'll probably come back again. But
for a tiny little thing. It won't be like, well, we're getting that.
But nothing like
bananas,
this.
Though.
Nothing like this. And, this is the type of stuff
it's crazy
that in 20 years' time, they would be begging happened. This is the type of stuff that we've been asking for forever, is to get a previous Doctor to come back to do multiple episodes.
It's nuts, isn't it?
People have been begging for David Tennant's return since he left.
Yeah.
But now that he's back, everyone's like, oh no, I don't like David Tennant. It's like, you're a liar.
Yeah, it's like, you can't please him because it's like, they say it's unoriginal.
Yes.
But then like when it was like, being original, I guess to an extent, no one liked it.
And I want to clarify as well, the people I know didn't drop out because of Christian or Jodie. A lot of people I knew stopped watching after Matt Smith or stopped watching after Capaldi or stopped watching after Jodie.
Yeah.
So, to get David Tennant back, who's the most popular Doctor, makes sense.
No, it does.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who fell off from the show for like plenty of different reasons. I know there were people who left because of Capaldi, because of Jodie, because of
it changes so much.
It
changes so much.
I think one of the biggest things that killed Doctor Who is the fact that it's on breaks all the time.
Yeah.
So it's never on. So, and when it is on, no one knows where to watch it because it's not on streaming. And I think that's the big thing. I don't think Capaldi or Jodie killed Doctor Who. I said that being dramatic, using the word killed.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Who wasn't on. I think Doctor Who started dipping when streaming started going up. During the Capaldi time, that's when everyone was streaming. So everyone just started, that convenience had changed.
That's a really good point.
Whereas during the Matt Smith era, people were still buying DVDs.
Yeah, that's
people
a really good
I knew
point.
watched DVDs. Whereas nowadays, only us crazy film nerds buy Blu-rays and that. Whereas I don't know anyone who has a DVD player. I know people who don't own DVD players or Blu-rays or anything. And that's normal. That's a normal thing because most normal people have lives and they just watch an episode of something once and then they move on with their lives. And it must be really nice to be like that. But I'm not that person.
I feel like so much I want to ask you. What do you think about the Disney Plus thing then? Because now we're going completely streaming, except for the UK and Ireland.
I'm in two minds about it. In one side, I think it's a good thing that Doctor Who will be in HD. It's easily accessible
Rip
and people
ABC.
can watch it. Whereas I, of course, feel really sad that it's not on the ABC anymore because it's free to air. And for a lot of people, that's their only option. They can only watch free to air. They can't afford any of these streaming services or even internet, and like the idea of like that being taken away is awful. But at least in the UK, the BBC is still going to be free. And in the UK, it's a different story to Australia. On iPlayer, I'm pretty sure it is HD. But here in Australia, it was 480 at best. It said it was 720, but it wasn't. It never was for me. When I was watching Legend of the Sea Devils, that was the last one I watched on iView because I couldn't see anything because it was pixelated and it was all mush. And because it's a 5.1 surround sound, they compress it into stereo. So you can't hear what anyone is saying because the music is louder than the audio. And I was just like, you know what? I can't watch Jodie's last episode on this because I want to enjoy it. I want to watch this. So I illegally downloaded it.
Do you want to confess to that as well, producer Dan?
Yeah, same here.
He's been doing that for fucking ages.
Because
for the last few
Sorry, I don't want to.
episodes,
Sorry, I'm not trying to get the police to come.
No, pretty much since I think I watched Flux on the ABC, but I think since the Flux, I downloaded some Flux. I watched some on ABC, but
you liar. That's bullshit. You download all Flux. I know you did.
I don't want it to be
Because you
crappy
told me
because it
that-
sucks when it streams, man. It sucks.
Because I would used to watch it on iView, then I would download it and then watch it in HD. And I was like, why do I have to suffer through something where I can't hear what they're saying? I can't see anything just to watch my favorite television show.
No, it's true.
And I was like, you know what? I'm drawing the line. So when that Disney Plus thing came through, I was like, you know what? For me, thank God. But I was like, it is unfair. To many people around the world, and I think it is unfair. But then there's also the case of there's many countries around the world where they couldn't watch Doctor Who free anyway.
Yeah, we've had like
Now they have a
Indian
chance.
fans and a Chinese fan message, and I just think that's amazing that they have access to it.
Yeah.
That's a really cool part of it.
So it's like some ways it's more accessible, and some ways it's not.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, you know.
But yeah, I think Doctor Who is just catching up to the times, and Doctor Who's always too late.
Yeah.
It's always like 5 years
That's
behind,
true.
and it's like.
I will just say as well about the accessibility thing, like if it's functionally pretty much unwatchable, that's not very accessible
This is
either,
how
you know,
I-
like, so.
This is how I work.
Because I don't think it's fair to people to not be able to watch it on iView in a watchable quality.
No,
And this isn't. I think you need to experience watching on iView to understand what I'm saying, because I'm not being. It sounds like I'm being dramatic, but I'm like
No, it was bad.
the video quality.
it's literally worse than watching it on a DVD. Like
I would love a DVD.
a DVD would be way better than
Yeah,
an
well,
iView copy.
streaming always goes up and down as well, like
Yeah.
the quality, and it's like it's compressed audio.
Yeah,
It
so
just
when it's
sucks.
good, it's bad.
Yeah, exactly. It was. Yeah, I don't know. Like, look, the more I think about that, I am getting a little bit worried because, like, I don't like Marvel, and I'm not liking what they've done with Star Wars, and I am a bit scared with the whole Disney thing. It's a bit scary. I don't know. I'm a bit worried if they got their fingers in the script a little bit. But Russell, I trust Russell, but I'm still a bit worried. Like, it is a bit like, let's just hope like. It's like if we get a better budget, which we are, it's like, but to what extent? Because if the story's not there,
Yeah.
it's going to show it. It's just going to look like a nice piece of crap almost. I am a bit worried, but I think casting wise, I think it's great. I can understand why Disney would want someone like Shooty at like the center of their new show. It makes sense.
Yeah. And I
don't know.
think once Shooty takes over, game changer, because Shooty is huge. And I think a lot of Doctor Who fans don't get that because they just watch Doctor Who. But Shooty Katwar is like,
He's a star.
he's an up and coming star. He is a star. You know, like this is someone who's huge. Whereas, you know, like someone like Jodie Whittaker is famous, but I don't think she's famous with young people like Shooty is. Whereas like my parents knew who Jodie Whittaker is, but people my age didn't. I didn't know who Jodie
Jodie
Whittaker
had like
was.
the Broadchurch credentials,
Yeah, it
was
which was more of a, I guess, an older audience. But
Yeah.
sex education is huge with
Yeah, sex ed is massive.
the
And
Gen
and
Z,
he's in,
you know, the Zoomers.
Greta Gerwig's new Barbie, which is going to be big.
Because I think
Not sure if I'll see it, but it's meant to be big.
Russell gets that promoting this show should be at the young adult to kid market. Doesn't mean to make it kid like and silly. It just means grab their attention because they're like the old people. We're already fans. You
Yeah,
know,
you're already
I'm already
gone.
watching.
We're always
I'm
the
not
dumbasses.
going
Yeah, we're the dumbasses who tune in.
Call us all old
I'm
people.
calling myself old. Like I'm old. I'm here for life.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know. I think Shooty's the right choice where I think when I'm talking about star quality, not star quality, their popularity in a certain demographic. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think Jodie Whittaker did an amazing job and I love Jodie's Doctor. And I love, you know, looking back, I think I love the majority of it. And the things that I didn't like, I can laugh at, which is a big part of my love of Doctor Who is that I can laugh at it.
Yeah.
And I would sit down and watch The Haunts of Nymon any day because it's the most stupidest, terrible episode of all time because it's fun. And, you know, there's so much of Jodie's Doctor Who, which I think in future years, people are going to look back and be like, Orphan 55, that is hilarious.
I do
What
think
were they
it'll age.
thinking?
It'll age well, like not in a good way per se, like, but it'll age.
But this is fun to watch.
But it'll be fun
in a
to
group.
watch
Look how silly this episode of Doctor Who is.
because that's kind of how people look at stuff. Like, to get back on topic, I suppose, at the trial of Time Lord, and I guess like even Sylvester's era,
Yeah.
because people looked at that and were like, was viewership really bad at this time? Surely,
Yeah, I think they put him up against
Oh,
like
here you go.
Coronation Street or something.
not Corey.
Yeah, they put him up against like a soap opera, like a big one.
Well, that's gonna
So
So
it killed
4.8, 4.6, 5.1, 5 million. That's
Not for trial, but for
too bad.
Sylvester's last stuff.
Oh my god, there was a book on it.
Yeah, there's
Philip
novels on
Mann.
most of them. Yeah.
So this little I'll say it correctly this time, Josh. Kiv and Sil,
Yep.
they were in another episode.
The Adventures of Varos.
And that was in season 22.
Yeah.
Okay.
Funnily enough, I watched Mind Warp before Avengers of Varys, just like you, because you haven't seen it yet.
I have not. So do you think it's a noble death for, well, I know she doesn't really die actually, but do you think it was a noble end to Perry?
I know it's what Nicola Bryant wanted.
Really? So she was like,
I want to go out with a bang.
I respect that. Because this is kind of like, were they trying to go for a bit of an Adric style?
Yeah, I think so.
But it didn't really pan out that way. You kill Perry.
I think the emotional weight is there, and I think it hits. But the problem is with the whole like Yakanos thing with her, like when them retroactively about, no, actually she's fine and she's living with King Yakanos.
That was
I don't like that.
The weirdest thing.
I think because I feel like Colin played it so well with like the You Killed Perry's.
That was great. That really was.
It really stings. And then, I just don't know.
Yeah, because like in the first episode, he's like speaking to Perry, where is she? And like it gets resolved in the final episode of whatever the fuck that was just. What was it called? The Mind Warp. That, you know, where she is and she is passed on. And that is a great line by Colin. Again, I think Colin's so good in it.
Yeah.
And I think they were going for maybe like an Adric style thing. I don't know if it played off as well, but I thought it was, and that was probably my favorite, even though I didn't love it at all too much. But this one, okay, this Terror of the Vervoids.
Yeah.
Good Jesus. I thought this was absolute dog shit. I didn't know what was going on. It killed me to watch it. There's like these like plant animals that get killed by compost.
Disgusting.
Literally. And so this is the first one with Mel.
Yeah.
Mel Bush, who showed up briefly at the end of Power of the Doctor.
Oh yeah, she was there. Was it?
Yeah.
That whole scene, I was just like, that's just Bonnie Langford. That's not Mel.
Right, yeah. It's like, well, hey guys.
It felt like a convention.
Okay, so yeah, Bonnie.
Bonnie Langford. I love Bonnie Langford.
Bonnie Langford rocked up at the end, but this is Melanie.
But yeah, Mel. Yeah, we love Mel.
So there's just like this jump between companions Perry and Mel.
Yeah.
So in episode 8, Perry dies per se, and then in episode 9 we get Mel.
And Mel was already established.
Mel is already established. Like we literally just cut to the Doctor on like a treadmill drinking carrot juice.
Yeah.
For some reason, Mel's like obsessed with the Doctor's physique and like.
Yeah, I don't think they do something like that now. I don't like it.
She's like, you need to run on this treadmill and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically Mel got introduced, and it was kind of weird because like she just instantly like showed up. It was very jarring going from 8 to 9 with Perry just going and then going to Mel. And also, I don't think it helped at all. Why am I going blue down? Is that going to...
No, you're right. It's like back to...
This is a fucking wild app.
Yeah, this is the contrast we get when Aiden's not here. It's just chaos.
I thought this was trash. Did you like it?
Terror of the Vervoids. No, I don't like it.
It's so bad.
I get where they're going. Like it's supposed to be like an Agatha Christie like murder mystery.
Right.
But like...
It sounds like it's like a resort in space.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me a bit of Voyage of the Damned at the start. I'm like, it's like this ship in space. It's like meant to be like this fancy voyage. Anyway, sorry, go on.
I think introducing Mel without a proper origin story is one of the most annoying holes in Doctor Who's history that really frustrates me. I really just want it filled. I want to know how the Doctor met Mel. And I don't want some stupidly complicated 3-novel arc or 50 audio dramas to tell me how they just met. Can they just not meet?
Go on, get off with you.
And because it's complicated enough.
It is, isn't it? Because we're still going through the trial of a Time Lord. We are still constantly cutting back and forth through the court with the Valiant yelling at the Doctor, telling me he's a piece of shit. And like, I guess they're going for the whole like, you killed Perry thing. Like all these companions are being in danger by traveling with you. You're sticking your nose on other people's businesses, which again, I think is a really unique thing.
Yeah.
But this story just did not hit home for me. Also, this is really nerdy, and I'm sure there's probably an explanation for this, but twice in this series of Trial of a Time Lord, he says he's 900 years old. Doesn't the Doctor say I'm 906?
It changes all the time. In
Is that like a classic thing?
Yeah. In the Rusty Davies era, they kind of said he's 900. 900 and something.
Right.
And they kind of stuck with that. And then Stephen Moffat kind of jumped it up to 1,000. And then after that, it went back to being loosey-goosey.
Right.
In the classic series,
Didn't Stephen Moffat also jump it up to being like 2,000?
Yeah, it was when Matt
so,
regenerated, he was 2,000.
I think that's the problem with Doctor Who is at this point where like there's so many regenerations.
None of it makes sense anymore.
So long. It's like you can't put a number. You can't put how many incarnations they've had. You can't say how many people have played Doctor Who. You can't be like they've been living for this many. You can't. It doesn't make any sense.
I was going to say because if he's 900 with Colin, we still have Sylvester, and then we have Paul McGann, and then there's a Time War, which was meant to be like a couple years at least, and then that's it. And then it's like, okay, then we go to Eccleston. It's like, tell me that all happened in like 6 years. Anyway, it didn't make sense to me, but that's fine.
I think Stephen Moffat had it best because he said it in something in season 6 where he was just like, the Doctor's lying. The Doctor has no idea how old they are. They just talking.
Rule number one, the Doctor always lies.
Because people want an answer. They just want to hear, I'm this. And it makes them happy. They're at peace. Whereas if you keep being loosey-goosey about something, they'll keep asking and keep pestering about it. So I think Ncuti Gatwa would be 900 years old. I think he would tell people he's 900.
Oh, can you just please go back to that? Because
I've always said I hate when when Moffat made the Doctor leave Amy and Rory for like supposedly 200 years. I'm like, why would he do that? How would he even remember them after 200 years?
That is so true.
So ridiculous.
I hate that. 200 years? That is like unfathomable. People will never be here for 200 years. Like, it's crazy.
I think the thing
maybe you're right. Maybe it's like the Doctor's just lying, but that's like, come on, man.
You can't say that every time. But there was something in Deep Breath where it was with the clockwork droids, and he was like, this seems really familiar, but I don't know what it is. Because he's forgotten.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we need more of that.
Yeah.
Or we need the Doctor not remembering these one-offs of villains where he's like, that's the Zygons. It's like, you met him once.
You met him like,
how do you remember?
Yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah, apparently 400 years ago.
Yeah, it's like
we'll never get the answers to the questions that we want. I feel like it's so loosey goosey, and especially now with like the timeless child stuff, which was not planned at all. And I know, you know what? I know people say it was, but it wasn't. And it's like, you know what? Maybe it doesn't need to make sense. At the end of the day, like when I finished season 13 and like it didn't get explained, I don't care. You know what? End of the day, it's fine. It doesn't really. Does it really matter? Probably not.
I was always really open to the timeless child art because I was like, I bet you could do something really interesting with it. And then nothing happened.
I don't. Still, regardless of the fact that I don't care that nothing happened, but I still like. Chib is a crazy man that he just never explained it. He really just came in and was like, I ain't explaining it.
Yeah.
See you later. And just left.
Yeah.
That you got to give Chib some credit for having some fucking massive balls.
Yeah, I feel like I wish I got it a bit more. I wish I was one of those people who'd be like, I see the worth in adding this lore. Like, because I don't like lore. I don't like I hate Time Lord stuff. I hate just beefing out the Doctor for no reason because I don't think it's that interesting. But I love Joe Martin though. That was nice.
Joe Martin and Sacha Dhawan were definitely the two best things to come out of there.
I would agree with that.
God, I don't want to.
Thirded from me.
What?
I said thirds.
Yeah,
I agree. It's 3 ways.
Yeah, I just think that like we see like controversial Doctors like Colin himself. Yeah, I'm not a huge Jodie's Doctor, not Jodie as a person. Jodie's Doctor, I'm not a huge fan of. I just can't connect to her Doctor at all. But anyway, I don't want to get everyone mad at me. But we ended with The Ultimate Foe, which is 2 episodes, by the way. Thank God. Do you ever feel like do you get offended when I say that they're too long?
They're all too long.
They're too fucking long. Christ on a bike. It's just like
I can feel it all.
I don't have all the time in the world, you know.
Yeah.
That Voyage one being 4 episodes. You're having a fucking laugh. I'm sorry. Thinking that should have been 4 episodes. Like, you're crazy. When it's 2 episodes, I feel like I'm at home.
I think that's why I like The Ultimate Foe. Even though it's a bit messy, the pace of it is really great. Because they're trying to cram 4 episodes into 2. Yeah. And I think it works better. Because that's the thing, like, I believe a piece of media should be as long as it needs to be. And I think that's kind of the best thing that's come out of streaming is like sometimes you'll get an episode that's an hour and 10 minutes and then sometimes you get a 45-minute episode.
That would be Stranger Things that Josh is referring to.
Yeah, that's one of them. I don't know if Stranger Things needs to be that long.
Josh's favourite show.
But I would say like I like that freedom. I like that idea of that creative freedom. But like I feel because a lot of people just want more. They want the longest episode. They're like, I want like 50,000 extra.
I could watch this
season.
for hours. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I'm not one of those people. I think the best version of it is the best version of it. It doesn't have anything to do with length.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely.
I'm not a size queen. What can I say?
No, I definitely agree. And like, like it says right here, it was the Trial of Time Lords, part 13 and 14. And I just think that's great. And it was the last story to feature Colin Baker. Well, if you don't count him rocking up in Power of the Doctor. But yeah, his regeneration. So I will ask you about that in a sec. But Anthony Ainley, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Who rocks up as the Master, which was a really nice surprise. I normally get, like I was saying to you in the car, I normally get that shit sport for me. But that didn't get sport. I like that a lot. There's like this thing where they get stuck in the Matrix, which I thought was really fun. There was a cool cliffhanger for episode 13 where the Doctor's getting like devoured into sand. I thought that looked kind of cool.
Controversially,
Uh-huh.
this is one of my favorite versions of the Matrix. I cannot stand fuck my brain.
Does it show up more than once?
It first showed up in a Fourth Doctor story.
Oh, that's a very boomer thing for me to say. It's like, did it show up?
Deadly Assassin. Sorry, I'm back. All right.
Didn't it do it?
Aiden, I'm going to say that again. Okay, so controversially, this is my favorite version of The Matrix.
Okay.
Because it appeared first in The Deadly Assassin, and episode 3 is basically like a silent movie where the Doctor is running away from some Time Lord.
That's it.
And it goes on forever and ever and ever.
Okay.
Whereas I think this is way scarier and way more succinct.
It actually is, isn't it?
Than that. I know this is supposed to be like, obviously this is an imitation of The Deadly Assassin, so it's built upon that.
Right.
But I enjoy this more.
Yeah, the whole Fantasy Factory thing.
Yeah.
Which luckily I found that, otherwise I wouldn't remember the name. But I loved that.
Yeah.
I thought it was so good.
Yeah.
I really liked it. And you're right, it is like way more scary. And it's kind of like if we are going through that thing of like the Valiard is like trying to like trap the Doctor, it is almost like, you know, trying to trap him in his like own concept of his mind or everything that like would terrify him. But it can't kill you because it's not real.
Yeah.
But I know I really liked it. I thought like, you know, the way it all wrapped up, you know, it was like we got shown like a court which was fake. And then it's like, I did see that coming a little bit, but that's okay. And it zoomed out. It was actually the court watching the story of the actual court where the Doctor testifies and goes away and is going to get put into jail because he's signed all his lives away. I think that's fine. It's so funny here, literally. The Inquisitor drops the charges against him and reveals that Perry survived the events of Foros Beta and became a queen. She urges the Doctor to stand for Lord President of the new council and he suggests that she should stand. He urges the Time Lords, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so his last line, Colin's last line is carrot juice.
Carrot juice, carrot juice, carrot juice.
3 times. That is bizarre. So, okay.
Colin was done dirty.
Okay, so I started the next episode, which is the Wrath of the Rani or some shit.
Time of the Rani.
Time of the Rani, yeah. So I started that. I watched the first 5 minutes and we start and we get to see... Is it a double in a wig and then it turns to...
It's Sylvester McCoy in a wig.
Okay, so it was him wearing a wig. Okay, I wondered about that. So it's Sylvester McCoy in a wig. The Rani comes into the TARDIS. They turn him over, regenerates into Sylvester McCoy. So, done dirty. What happened?
All right. So, there's a lot of like different accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say that the BBC said to John Nathan Turner, either get rid of Colin Baker or you're gone. It's one of you. And John said, goodbye, Colin, and he was out. Or the other story is the BBC, so Michael Grade said, Colin, you're out. You can do another season.
Right.
I think the truth is somewhere in there. I think what happened was I think he said, get rid of Colin because most producers would be like, well, if you're getting rid of my leading man, I'm going to. And I think that's what they wanted to happen. But I don't know if John decided not to believe that or he decided not to do that. He decided to stay on. So then
Crazy.
Let's go. So Colin's fired now.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to leave. He got fired.
Didn't come back to film the Regeneration.
He was asked to come back and do Regeneration. He said
no.
You want me to be the Doctor for another 12 months because it would be another year until the TV show was back on.
Yeah.
So he would still have to be the public face of Doctor Who until the new one came in.
Right. So they didn't confirm that he was.
And they said, he was like, I will come back if I do like a full length serial and then I regenerate. And they said, no, we just want you for a regeneration scene. And he said, no, thank you.
Right.
And I think too right.
Yeah.
Too bloody right. I wouldn't have come back either.
Yeah.
So I think it was very unfair for poor Colin.
Well, I see here it says written by Pip and Jane Baker, and they wrote the last 2 episodes of season 20.
They wrote the Rani stories.
Yeah, and they wrote the episode that we just spoke about.
Yeah, because originally
they came back as well.
Originally, the Ultimate Foe was to be written by Eric Saywood, who was the script editor, but there was a big falling out between him and John Nathan Turner, the producer. So
much tea on Doctor Who.
Oh my god, Doctor Who was nuts, and I bet it's still as crazy today.
Yeah, I know.
But they don't tell us anything.
On. Yeah, they know because they know we want to know the tea.
Yeah, and maybe it'll come out of convention in 50,000 years' time when we're all dead.
Well, I suppose Chris Eccleston's been very open about his falling out of Russell.
Yeah.
Do you believe they'd ever come back and work together?
No.
No, not at all. Not even for a 60th cameo.
I don't believe so. No.
It's crazy because we we all see Russell as his hero, but I guess season 1 wasn't handled in the best way possible.
Look, we will never know anything because they won't say anything.
Mm.
The only person who's really come out and spoken about it is Chris. Everything Russell has said feels very PR.
Yes, of course. Well, they got a job to maintain, haven't they? And
yeah, and I think whatever happened, I believe Chris. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, it seems very much like this whole Colin Baker story because I heard that he literally got a phone call saying you're out.
Yeah.
And that just seems weird. And I guess with it being season 1, I'm sure you could give it a little bit of slack, but still it's to treat someone like that is it's not great,
And the stories that I've heard, it's not always, this is Russell.
Yeah, of course.
I think the majority of the problems wasn't with Russell, it was with other people. But the thing is, when you're
Julie,
the big producer
and Phil.
Yeah, and those people as well, there's higher ups.
Yeah.
They're all accountable for whatever happens beneath them.
Of course, yeah.
Even if they're not there on set, it's still their job to be accountable for it. So because I heard there was a problem with directors, and I've heard it was the main problems were to do with health and safety not being managed, and it was to do with a production that wasn't ready to be filmed yet.
Yeah, so that's what Chris was saying about how the way he worded it, it sounds like he was bragging, but he worded it politely. He said I had more experience on a set than anyone else there. Yeah. And I could just tell that there was a mistake waiting to be a mistake was waiting to be made, basically.
I think, this is my personal opinion, this is not based on fact. I think that when they were launching season 1, they knew this had to be the best thing ever. That was Russell saying. He's I'm making a franchise before we really talk about franchises today. And I think his ambition, the BBC didn't have the facilities or the people or the know-how to achieve it yet. And I think they got that over time. But I think my theory, this is not based in truth, is that a lot of bad things happened on set. And I think Chris was right. And what he says happened. And I think people were put into situations they shouldn't have been. That was not healthy and safe for them to do so. And this is not a thing that's exclusive to Doctor Who or the BBC. It is an industry-wide problem. That's why we have people who are stunt people who are being killed this is a very dangerous profession to be in, that people are working ridiculous hours because it is not unionized.
Yeah, people don't see that at all, hey?
Yeah. Doctor Who is not an outlier. Christopher Eccleston is someone with very strong morals. And I think if you go against his beliefs, he's like, this is not something I want to be involved with. And I respect that about Chris.
Do you think they ran before they could walk, almost?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think the end product turned out amazing. And we wouldn't be here today. It doesn't mean I think that it was worth the pain.
But people just don't see it that way, though, unfortunately.
But they don't, yeah. And
I just don't think they do.
I respect Chris not coming back.
Yeah, no, I when I was a young kid, I was like, I never understood it, and I was like, that's pretty pricky. But now I definitely get it. It's just sad, because even at Christmas, like we're having this conversation about Bob Odenkirk from Better Call Saul. In season 6, he had like a heart attack and nearly died.
Oh wow!
And so at this part was like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get why he had a heart attack on set. And I was like, you gotta understand, like, he is a leading man in a show. Like, he is working ridiculous hours. Like, it looks like a very glorified job. And yes, he is getting paid millions and he gets fame, but also you can't look at it that way.
Yeah.
Like, it is an insane job to have, especially being a leading man in a show like that. You'd be working crazy hours. The pressure is all on you. Like, it's insane. And yeah, like, as much as I'd love to see him come back, it must be hard for him as well to see Russ come back. And Russ was just so loved, and everyone, including me as like a fan back in the day, would always take Russell's side. I was very upset with Chris, but now looking back on it, and I think he's also like, I think the way he's handled it, he didn't talk about it for years.
Nah.
Like, he really was professional about it.
Yeah. And
didn't talk about it for years, and made a career for himself when, the BBC blacklisted him, which again, people can believe or not believe. I agree with you. I think that he was actually kind of spitting facts, and it's kind of weird when I was watching this TV show when I was like 7 years old.
Yeah.
And I was like, just loving it. And I'm still talking about it now and still finding out all this stuff about it. Like, it's pretty crazy. And like, I don't know. I wish I could talk to you all night, Josh. I was saying in the car, like, I wish like you and Crispy lived here.
Yeah.
It's sad because it considering like we've just met for the first time. I know we've spoken through Zoom, but it doesn't feel like we've just met for the first time.
No, because we talk all the time anyway. But
it just sucks.
Yeah.
It just sucks that, like, why is Australia so big? Did anyone ever thought about that?
Yeah, everyone in the UK, Australia is massive. Like, it took me, like, my flight here took 3.5 hours. And that's the quick way. On the way home, it's longer.
Is that because you're going against like currents?
Yeah, or something. I'm not a scientist.
Yeah, it's the wind or some shit.
Yeah, because that with Bali, like, it's like, I think it's longer on the way back.
Yeah.
So you haven't been to sleep for?
I don't know how I'm here. So if I've said something ridiculous in this podcast, it's because I haven't slept in so long.
And you started today in Adelaide.
I woke up at 3 a.m. and that was like forever ago in Adelaide. Now it's later than that. So I've been up for like...
Because you're 2 hours. Are you 2.5 hours ahead in Adelaide?
Yeah, or something like that.
So it's nearly 9 here. So yeah, that's pretty wild.
So it's like almost 11 o'clock there. So I've been up since 3. It's like 11 for me.
No, you've done amazing. Thank you so much. Once you can talk about, am I able to say that I walked onto the thingy?
Yeah, we're filming something here in
I'm allowed to
Perth.
say I walked onto the, it's all that not okay to say. I saw some cool stuff, I'll just say.
Yeah, we're filming something.
It was so cool though. I got to go on somewhere and meet the people that you were working with, who you've spoken very highly about on the show before.
Yeah, that's Aaron Vanderklay. He's very, very talented. He does Star Trek fan films, and they're very, very good, very high production value. He also did some Doctor Who stuff. He did a adaptation of a Big Finish audio, a companion chronicle of the Second Doctor era, and that's where I first met him. I think that was like 2014, so it was a long time ago. Of the Big Finish story of Resistance.
Was that in person? You met in person, or
no? I met him online.
So this is the first time you met him in person.
Yeah.
As well? Crazy. So you meet everyone in person.
I'm meeting everyone for the first time. So
that's great. But I went somewhere and I saw something, and it was so cool. Like it was so cool.
I hate to keep like fan projects top secret, but I just
No, but you have to. I get it.
It's more for like, you know. Just,
also, like speculation is so good for like your channel.
Yeah.
Because people will be like, wait, like what is this about? But I think it's so cool. And the fact that you had to fly out to Perth to do it, I think is great. One of the fun things I want to ask you though is because I have an interesting relationship with my parents and YouTube. Do your parents like what you do with YouTube? Or do they understand it? Are they impressed that you get the love you get, or do they not really understand it? And apologies if you don't want to talk about your family. I understand it's a bit hard sometimes, but
they know where my YouTube is. I know parts of my family have watched it, which is horrible to think about. I like to think that
that's so true.
I like to think my YouTube videos are something that I make for the funny little people in my phone. That it's not real. That I'm not doing this. Once it becomes like when people start asking about it in like real life, like random, like at work, people ask me about it because I work in marketing. So the fact that I do YouTube and stuff like that comes up in the conversation because it's a part of my job. But yeah, it is a bit. I'm embarrassed to be a Doctor Who fan.
Oh, same.
I mean, I'm very. I just say
it's hard.
I've never been at a point in my life where I'm like, oh yeah, it's cool for me to be a Doctor Who fan. It is always still my secret shame. Yeah. Everyone in my life knows that I'm a big Doctor Who fan, but I don't talk about it.
I hate when people ask what kind of podcast you like. I'm so proud of it. I sound really ungrateful now, but it can be embarrassing when people are like, "So what's your podcast about?" Because like to explain what it is so difficult. I can see I'm starting to lose people every sentence.
Yeah. Especially because people just don't watch Doctor Who.
No, they don't. Yeah, they don't. They're like, I used to watch, what's his name? Tim Baker.
But
like Tom Baker. It's like, yeah, him, yeah.
Because I thought Doctor Who was at a point where like, you know, any person could picture it. They might be able to see like a telephone box and be like, it's a TARDIS.
And like know what a Dalek
is. And then that's it. Or maybe the long scarf for Tom Baker, cultural references. But even that doesn't exist anymore here in Australia. It is so culturally dead that it's become forgotten.
What's the flux?
What's the flux?
Yeah, what is the flux?
Is what people were saying when that series came out. But and once again, I don't think that's Chris Chibnall's fault. I think it's not.
Josh is a Chibnall stan, it seems.
It's not accessible here in Australia.
No,
it isn't.
Yeah, I guess that's what Disney is going to try and do. Yeah. Will it be a good investment though? Is another question, because it's like I don't know if the BBC is going to even know, or Disney per se is going to know it's a good plan to give them the rights. Like, will it be the successful show that they want it to be again? I don't know.
That's the thing. Like, it's still the BBC's IP. The BBC still own it. They still get to have control. It's just a lot of people have got their fingers in the pie at the moment. And I think if popularity wanes and certain people want to drop out, potentially other people will jump back in. But you've got people like, you know, with these Doctor Who animations being cancelled by BBC America because they pulled their funding.
Do you think that will come back?
That's the thing about the BBC America funding. Like, do we think this Disney plan, well, we know this Disney plan has been in work for a long time. Yeah. Was the renewing of the animations thing not happening because of
said Disney plan. Yeah, that's
because a lot of people have said, oh, they're not popular enough. People aren't watching them, which is true.
Well, that's why I got the Blu-ray actually, because I wanted to support it.
Even that's not really doing anything with the funding.
Oh, great.
It's to do with the broadcast.
Aiden said the best way to support it was buying the Blu-ray. Aiden lied.
Well, not necessarily.
Aiden sucks. Oh my God.
Buying a product always shows this interest in a product. So yeah. But those particular animations were funded by BBC America, the majority of it.
Why BBC America, not the UK?
It's a separate company.
Was the workers in America who were doing the animations, or was it UK animators?
No, so the BBC Studios team, that was UK based animators, but the Gary Russell team was a mix between UK and India.
India?
Yeah.
Wow.
They outsourced a lot of their character animation through.
Wow.
As far as I know, I think that's right. But no, they're not American productions. They're just funding them. Would
you rather than do the animations rather than just not touch the episodes, or Like,
What do you mean?
like, you know, like with the episodes, like if it's the only way to really get the episode, would you just rather they animate them or just like leave them alone? Because it's just the audio mostly, isn't it? And
I like the animations. I think they're fun. Even when they're bad, I like them.
right.
It's something new for me to talk about and complain about.
Yeah.
I'm a
'Cause,
Doctor Who fan. I'm simple. I just want something to complain about.
Because I think was it with the Abominable Snowman? There was one episode that had the footage. Was that right?
Yeah, episode 2 exists in the archive.
Right. So they have the footage for that, but the rest is just like animated. So like
They've animated the whole serial.
Right. So they're thinking is like rather than this episode never air for the fans, they got the audio. Is that correct? And then they just put that over animation rather than it never come out. See, that's cool. I just don't think I'd see myself at watching it. Yeah.
And the thing is, I think that's a great point. These animations are a niche and a niche and a niche. So I would say this is the fun of Doctor Who fans. You get the main Doctor Who fans, the biggest amount are people who watch the new series.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got the old folks like me who watch the classic series. We're a dedicated audience. We're the people who spend the most money because we're invested in this show. Then you've got 60s Doctor Who fans. We're getting smaller and smaller here, folks. You've got such a niche audience to this. And then on top of that, you've got people who don't like watching animations. So your niche is getting even smaller. So the actual audience for these productions is so tiny. It's so minuscule. Why would someone want to put money into this? Because I think if Disney Plus was to do animations, it wouldn't be a classic series.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to tell. And I guess like one of the last things to say is like spin-offs. Do you think we're going to get as many as like people are theorizing? And like, what would you like to see?
I think there'll be like, I think there'll probably be one. I'd be surprised if there wasn't one. At least one.
I need that shit.
I would like there to be one. But I don't know if we'd be getting one anytime soon unless it was based in the history of Doctor Who. Because nothing for Shitty has been really set up yet. So I don't think they'd like dive into a random spin-off without setting
because Torchwood was at the end of season 2, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that could be a good time to because that's how you got into the show was through Torchwood.
Yeah, I watched Torchwood first.
So let's get some future Doctor Who fans from spin-offs that have next to nothing to do with Doctor Who. We're going to get Cybermen spin-offs, Dalek spin-offs.
You never know.
Big directors on board with that Disney Do Re Mi. I hope so. I really want spin-offs. And you know what? I hate to say it. Like, sometimes I'm more excited for like a spin-off than like the main show.
Oh, I've always loved Torchwood more than Doctor Who.
Because exactly. I think there can be less pressure, more opportunity, get it in, make some content.
Yeah.
Russell can pop his head in here and there. Even Chibnall would like working on Torchwood. Like he did so much better job there rather than running the main show.
I prefer Chibnall's approach to Torchwood.
Me too.
I enjoy season 2. It's a messy, campy mess, but I also like season 1. I like all of Torchwood. It's a bit tainted for me now after all of John Barrowman's
that is hard
reactions to things at the moment. It's just driving me nuts.
Yeah.
So I don't have the same relationship with the show. I think Torchwood's done for me. It was a very nice moment in my life, but I think Torchwood is done. And Big Finish keep trying to make stuff out of it, but to me it's like it's past its time. It was such an important and pivotal show when it came out, but it doesn't have that same importance in my life anymore because it paved the way for a lot of queer television.
Yeah, definitely.
And, a character like Captain Jack meant a lot to me as a teenager. But now we've got so many different options for queer representation in television. And we've got to thank shows like Torchwood. We've got to thank people like Rusty Davies who paved the way. So, I don't like to be too dismissive of Torchwood like some people are just because John Barrowman's an arsehole. In my opinion, he's an arsehole. And
yeah, no,
I'm upset. I am upset.
No, it is. It's like I had the exact same reaction because I agree totally with everything you said. And we did the rewatch after all that stuff came out. And it's hard watching something like Children of Earth. You're like, this really is great. And it's hard when, you have that. I personally can't separate the art and the artist. Like I always
very hard as well.
I always have to have like a connection to the actor as well. And I actually give a shit about how like the crew and all that is like treated. Yeah. And when there's all that stuff going on in the background, it was hard. I mean, and it's interesting you say that though. Like I feel like some people are like adamant to be like no, he's a good person. Like we still gotta like love Torchwood, and it's like, you know, and it hurt as well with like with Noah as well, because with you know, my month's favorite episode is Christmas Invasion, and I chucked it on Christmas Day. And it's hard seeing Noel. It's like, I'd be lying if I said part of it wasn't a bit ruined now.
Yeah. I find it hard. I wish I was one of those people who could like completely separate it.
Yeah, I can't.
Whereas I'm not.
I can't.
I'm constant, because that to me, the magic of Doctor Who, half the story is behind the scenes how it was made. That's the bit that excites me. That's the reason why I'm in this industry, is because I love filmmaking and I love Doctor Who is so open with how it's made. I'm happy with anything that's officially released. I look at that. The TARDIS thing did get spoiled to me because people kept posting on thumbnails on YouTube.
Do you think that's real?
Bruh.
Well, it's concept art.
Yeah.
And I've seen like the Rusty Davies early concept art, and it's very different to what was on screen. But of course, you hear people.
Wait, how did you see the early?
No, it's like being published, the books and stuff like that. So you saw the early. They publish early concept art and how it evolved. But I've heard it's big. I don't know if that's necessarily true, because I was researching a video about the 2005 TARDIS. And they had like a big set, and they were like, it's going to take 20 minutes for the Doctor to get from the lower levels up those stairs to the...
So like McGann's kind of TARDIS, where it was like this massive, almost like building. Yeah.
And it becomes impractical.
Yeah.
I think you can have a bigger TARDIS, but you need to make that line from the door to the console in 5 steps tops.
Yeah.
Unless the Doctor's like running.
Did you like Jodie's TARDIS?
I don't want to comment. It grew on me.
I can't stand it.
Do you know what sold it to me?
I'm so glad it's gone.
You know the Edge of Time VR game?
Mm-hmm.
When I was walking around that TARDIS, I was like, you know what? These colours are pretty. I like this. But the actual real TARDIS, no, I don't like it. But I enjoyed being a part of it.
I got the exterior stain.
I like the exterior box. It grew on me.
No, that's cool.
The lamp on top is shit, and it always has been, but it is what it is.
Only us Doctor Who fans are getting annoyed about like a lamp.
A lamp. How pathetic are we? We're like, oh,
if my dad heard me say that, he'd literally disown me. Like, I remember my parents ever heard me talking to Aiden about the I don't know if you remember in Name of the Doctor, when the Doctor lands the TARDIS on Trenzalore and there's a little crack in the window, and we had like an hour discussion if like there would now be a crack in the TARDIS window for the entirety of Doctor Who. And I like hung up the phone. They're like, "You need to get a life, Connor." That is like excessive. But that's what this show does to you, I guess.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of sad nerds.
Nah, it'd be weird. It'd be weird as well if like Tennant gets a new TARDIS and then we get a new one with. Is it going to stay for?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it'd be fun if we had like a TARDIS for 3 episodes and then it moved on to.
Yeah.
Then I guess it's also like, you know, what if people enjoyed the old one more? It's like people wanted the old one to stay. That's why we don't write Doctor Who.
I just remember something that Gary Russell once said, where he said he advised to his animator team for Fury from the Deep, where he said, don't read the reviews for the first 6 months. Read it afterwards, because that's when Doctor Who fans stop being insane and they will say what they actually think instead of their first reaction, which is, I hate this. And I think I think it's the most truest statement about Doctor Who fans, is that our first reaction is, I hate this. But then over time, we're like, nah, it's all right.
Do you read comments from your videos or not anymore?
I have a rule, which is I read them until one upsets me, and then I stop.
Yeah.
And I don't respond, because I know that the majority of the time of a comment that upsets me is my interpretation of what they have said. You know, when we're talking with text, with comments and that, it's all just written. You're hearing it in your own head. You're hearing it in your own voice. So if someone said something like, your hair looks really bad in this video, I'd be like, well, I don't know if anyone's ever said that. It's just something, it's the first thing I thought of. I'd be like, wow, that's really rude. But in their minds, they think I'm their friend. And it's like a joke, like a little like playful jab.
Right.
Because so in their mind, they weren't trying to upset me. or
Well, I know
offend
Josh.
me.
I watch their videos all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah,
So
it's
they
like,
think
oh,
I'm
bestie,
like-
you didn't want me to tell you? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if my friends said that to me, I would cry. But then I knew they would be joking. You know what I mean? But like some random comment online, my emotional state is changing what is being said. So if it was a commenter that I recognized, I'd be like, oh, I know that they're not being mean to me. But if it's someone I've never seen before, I'm like, this person's really rude.
Well, I know you've spoken about Twitter as well. Is Twitter worse because you almost feel like with a tweet, it's like you're not going to spend hours making a video. You can just tweet something out and not think twice about it. Like, is Twitter worse in that sense with comments, like replies?
Twitter is bad in the way that it's the same reason what I was saying about comments.
Yeah.
If I said Nissa is the best companion of Doctor Who, someone would be like, how dare you? Are you saying that Yaz is the worst companion ever? I'm like, I would never say that because I love Yaz.
Yes.
And it's like, but you know, like they're hearing in their head where they're saying like, it becomes personal. Because my therapist was talking to me about this, where she was saying that people's own insecurities come out in their own head and stuff like that. So when they read a comment, it'll hit something personal to them, where it's like, you may be saying something on Twitter, but they're interpreting it as something else. And that's why I get annoyed when people are like, oh, death of the author and stuff like that, that argument where it's like, oh, it doesn't matter what the author intended, it's my interpretation of it. It's like, no, because you can interpret anything to mean anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if any of this is making sense. I haven't slept in so long.
You know, I heard someone say that one of the problems with like Twitter and YouTube comments is people talk about you as though you're not in the room.
Yes.
But they do that to you. You know, and it's just like
Ethan Klein.
I think Ethan said that. And it's like not a good way to interact with people. It's just not a healthy. Like it's not going to come out with a good conversation, you know, good discourse.
By the way, can I just say I do love your openness about therapy. I think it's very important. I'm also in therapy and on meds, and I think it's very important to say that because let's be honest, we can't make YouTube videos without being in therapy.
Oh no,
because that would be the end of everything. I was open about going on meds to keep doing YouTube just because it was like, you know, it's something I love and want to do and I'm so passionate about it. It's like my life, and I couldn't keep doing it with like, you say about replying to comments, like, yeah, I made that Jodie Whittaker video. It would nearly have been a year now that probably is like the most hated video on our channel because of my video defending Jodie as a doctor and as an actress. And there was so much backlash from that. And what really upset me is someone wrote like a really horrible comment. And but I spoke to Aiden about this. I'm not calling that on the air, but he replied to them. And I was like, look, man, we can't reply that shit. But also, because it was my video and Aiden's not even in it, it looked like I was personally replying. And I was like, Aiden wrote a good like reply. Yeah. Like debunking everything he said. But of course the guy just came back with 1,000 more things to be a twat about, you know. And it's just like, you know, end of the day, you know, we want to do this, we want to have a career in it. It's like, it kind of is just what happens and what we got to deal with. But, you know.
I think some people love to have arguments in the comment section, which I avoid any conflict.
I couldn't think of anything worse.
I say there's some people out there who like to start like beef between YouTubers and stuff like that. I'm like, I couldn't think of anything worse. Unless it was completely manufactured, like me and Aiden.
Well, like you and Aiden.
Yeah, me and Aiden, where it's completely fake and we know we don't mean anything. It's just funny.
Sometimes I wonder if people
think we actually hate each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did like a birthday message for him. I was like,
the tweet?
I said something like, shout out to the fakest Doctor Who fan. But
I think in the replies it was, this is a joke.
I had to do verification.
Like, who didn't read the replies here? And it's like, I love it, by the way. I think it's great. And I think you should continue on. And I think we should give Aiden shit for not being here. But yeah, it's funny. Like, I don't know. I guess like I kind of always wanted to be like that edgier version of like a Doctor Who show. And I guess if that kind of means making some like foes along the way, I don't want to. But, you know, end of the day, I think when you get bigger, you end up pissing people off. You end up saying some dumb shit. Or at least I do.
The thing is, another thing my therapist said, it doesn't matter what you say. someone will be upset by it because that's how we work as people. You know, we've all got our own personal insecurities. When someone says something that's going to upset us, that wouldn't upset anyone else. So, you know, because like I like to discuss like social issues in my videos, especially because it comes up in Doctor Who, because Doctor Who does get it wrong a lot of the time, and to ignore it would be wrong. But people get really upset when I talk about like when Doctor Who's racist or stuff like that. But it's like, if I didn't bring it up, it'd be like ridiculous.
Are they almost like, why are you going to make the video like political and like?
Yeah, like people don't like, because
what's that got to do with this? And it's like, well, everything, you know. Because
I'm very calculated when I talk about these things. I try and deliver it in the least attacking way possible because I'm, of course, very passionate about social issues because, you know, as a queer person myself, it is personal to me. So, you know, I try and keep it very level-headed. I don't know, my brain is fried. I'm so tired.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's amazing. And I'm so proud of you as a person and a creator. I love your content. I think it's some of the best out there. I think it's amazing. I know you're hard on yourself and I know you don't think your content's that great, but a lot of people love it, including myself and Aiden. And we're all really proud of you.
No, I'm very thankful that people enjoy what I do. And I just hope that spreading the message about missing episodes and stuff is doing more good than bad. And I'm very thankful that my missing episode series did really well, but I wish I could take back a few things that I said on it because I wasn't as experienced as I am now. And I hope that I did more to further the cause than detriment it.
Yeah. Well, I think you did.
Well, you sound more regretful than Russell T Davies about.
I think you've done a great job. And of course, as always, you can find Josh's content linked in the description. And we will definitely have you back on to talk about, what'd you say in your video? Redacted? What'd you call it?
Oh, yeah, when I'm doing Redacted.
Yeah. Redacted.
At least we've announced it's Perth. So you got one part of the story.
That's one part of the story. Good old sunny Perth. And yeah, we love having you on, obviously. And we'll definitely have you back on to talk about your project, which you'll be able to talk about in full.
Yes.
Just before we go, guys, we've actually fallen out of the wormhole.
We're in the ocean now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're under the sea, folks. So.
That's nice.
It's a shame to have you go because I would love to be able to film in person every time. But I guess that's what made this episode so special. And I know we've been memeing on it, but it was sad that Aiden couldn't make it.
Yeah, it is really sad.
On it. We actually do miss you, Aiden.
Yeah,
so
Aiden.
And here's his quick review here.
Hey folks, hope you're enjoying the Josh Snares special of the podcast. I'm in New Zealand with Nicole. Hi. It's really wet. It's really windy, even though it's the middle of summer. But what the fuck is that? What the fuck? What the fuck? He's got attacked by a bug. But hey, it's wet, windy. I just got attacked by a bug. But at least I'm not watching the trial of the Time Lord. That's my review. 3.5 out of 10. Good on you for trying something new. Bye.
Before I forget, I nearly forgot that. Like I said,
right at the end.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
so that's what you get.
Where no one is going to watch it. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Josh.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, always one of our favorite guests. So thank you for watching, everybody. Is it Josh and Connor's podcast for the outro?
Yeah.
All right, in person for the first time, and hopefully not the last.
Yeah. It's Josh
and Connor's podcast. They're doing Doctor Who reviews. Boom.
See you later, Aiden. This is a brand new podcast right here, baby.